I am Wang Lin, an ordinary college student, but I am forcibly bound to a mysterious system. I must complete the mission or die. The first task was to confess my love to the school beauty, Zhao Li, in public. If I failed, I would die. I acted decisively, and although I failed, I unexpectedly became the talk of the school. Zhao Li is not only cold and arrogant, but also involved in underworld forces. As I get to know her more, I am drawn into a dangerous struggle, and my life and death are uncertain. Chapter 1. Police Station. I didn't come here to report crime this time, but was picked up by the police. The atmosphere in the interrogation room was so cold that I felt uncomfortable. I stared at the table with an innocent look on my face. The police outside looked at me, as if thinking, such a stupid boy actually committed a crime? Name, Wang Lin. Age, 19. Gender, female ba male. The policeman frowned with a serious face. Be serious? I was too lazy to bother with him, and the police began to question my background. After learning that I was a student at Manhwa University, the police seemed even more confused. This kid looks normal. How could he make such a low-level mistake? The middle-aged policeman in charge sneered. Do you know why you are in police station? No, I don't know. My heart beat faster, and I felt nervous. The policeman lowered his voice. I'll confess. I hurriedly explained. Uncle Police, I didn't harass women, really. That was my childhood sweetheart whom I had been pursuing for 10 years. Before he finished speaking, the policemen outside the interrogation room looked at each other and smiled playfully. A lovelorn little licker. You actually used this old-fashioned way to pursue her. What a joke. Next time, listen to me and drive a Mercedes-Benz to chase her. Otherwise, you will become a joke. Half an hour later, I finally came out of the police station. If it weren't for those uncles nagging me, I would have left 15 minutes earlier. They talked about things like, that girl is pretty. Can you introduce her to my grandchildren? They also talked about techniques for courting girls, which made me feel like I was joining a pyramid scheme. My first day at the police station was truly dramatic. As for the reason why I was sent to jail, it couldn't be simpler. My confession failed. Because I kept talking, my childhood sweetheart, Chen Nan, who I had been pursuing for 10 years, was directly sent to the police station. She is one of the 4 most beautiful girls in Manhwa University. I didn't expect that my talkativeness would cause trouble. Manhwa University, English class 2331. Strict Counselor Lin, Nan, was writing furiously on the blackboard, fearing that she would miss any details. Other teachers would never keep a get out of class for an extra minute as long as they could finish the class on time, but old lady Lin always stayed for an extra minute. Looking at her expression, I felt that she was trying to win the student's favor. The fat guy Li Zheng next to him was sleeping, snoring, grinding his teeth, and doing everything that could distract him. Although he had good grades, he was sleepy in every class, and the class was more effective than hypnosis. His father turned a blind eye to him because he had good grades. Just as I was about to fall asleep, a mechanical sound suddenly came from my ear, pulling me back to reality. What the hell? I rubbed my eyes and thought. Do I have an alarm clock in my head? Ding, congratulations to the host for being rejected by the school beauty. The system is officially activated. I was stunned. System? What the hell? The novice mission has been started. A welcome meeting will be held on the playground in 10 minutes. Please confess your love to a girl in front of all the teachers and students in the school. The task must be completed within 10 minutes. If it exceeds the time limit, the system and the host will be destroyed. I was stunned. This voice came from my head. I knew it wasn't a dream. There really is a system, and this system is inhumane and treats me like a tool. Although I was ecstatic, I did not lose my composure. Gold Finger, the legendary super artifact. I have fantasized about this countless times in novels, but I never thought it would actually happen to me. I'm finally going to get rid of the fate of being a licking dog, and I am ready to let everyone lick me. However, the 10 minutes of preparation time had passed quietly. Students, there's a freshman meeting on the playground. Please go quickly. Anyone who dares not go will be punished by military law. Lin Nan's voice was like an order, with an unquestionable majesty. Her tone seemed to make you fail the course at any time. 10 minutes later, on the playground of Manhwa University, thousands of college students stood in neat lines, quietly waiting for the meeting to begin. I'm really fed up. After listening to speeches for 12 years, I thought college would be a little more stable, but on the first day, I'm forced to listen to this kind of nonsense. A classmate muttered, "My left eyelid is twitching so much today. Something big must be happening." Another classmate joked, "Quickly get in line. The sun is so bright. Who wants to listen to these meaningless speeches?" A third classmate also couldn't help but complain. Everyone lined up according to class and waited for the opening. Ahem. The voice of the school leader sounded. Today is the opening ceremony for the freshmen of Linhai University. On behalf of all the school leaders, I would like to extend a warm welcome to the 5,300 freshmen. Following the school leader's opening remarks, sporadic applause broke out from the audience, and it was obvious that no one was interested in the speeches. Ding! The host has arrived at the playground, and the mission has started. Due to temporary changes, please choose a girl to confess within 1 minute. If you succeed in the mission, you will receive a generous reward. If you fail in the mission, you will perish together with the host. I wish the host good luck. I was stunned. My mind was in a mess. What the hell? Is this for real? He glanced around hurriedly, but found nothing prepared. He muttered angrily, 41. No, system, give me some time. Is there option D? 27 seconds. Fuck, system. Are you really making fun of me? Wang Lin's heart almost collapsed. 15 seconds. I'll do it. I'll do it. Is that okay? 10 seconds. Chapter 2. I took a deep breath, held the speaker nervously in my palm, and looked around. The eyes of the audience made me feel creepy. Everyone looked confused, so I walked to the podium and cleared my throat without hesitation. Ahem. 5, 3, 2. Student Zhao Li, I have admired you for a long time. Yes, it was love at first sight. Give me a chance to talk. As soon as I finished speaking, everyone in the audience was stunned. The school leaders, my classmates, my father, and myself were all dumbfounded. Congratulations to the host for completing the task. System reward. Mastery of 5-step boxing. At the moment, I was in no mood to care about the system's reward. Today's task was only one, to save my life. On the first day of school, I became the focus of the whole audience because of my confession. Thousands of eyes were looking at me, and even a small raise of my hand seemed extremely powerful. In 5 minutes, Linhai University would definitely be on the hot search. Zhao Li stood in the queue. Her eyes were not shy, but full of curiosity. She had never seen a boy so direct. Amid the noise of everyone's booing, she suddenly paused and asked, "Since you have admired me for so long, what exactly do you love about me?" The atmosphere was completely heated. The playground was so hot that it was almost suffocating. Everyone stared at me, expecting my answer. I was stunned. I was not prepared to answer this question. What should I do? If I answer correctly, I might have a future. If I answer incorrectly, I might not be able to survive the 4 years of college. I say I like your big breasts and big, but does that count as advantages? I scratched my head, almost not daring to look at the reactions from the audience. The school leaders were dumbfounded, and the others were also completely furious. Zhao Li's face changed, from cold and elegant to furious in an instant. What are you talking about? How can I know your strengths when we meet for the first time? Physical beauty can be considered a strength. I'm just an honest child. You do have big breasts and a big butt. Facing that knife-like gaze, I was filled with regret, but also a little self-deprecating. She is the most beautiful girl in the class, born with her own aura, smart and beautiful, and she actually let a boy like me confess her love. It's funny to think about it. I knew I was provoking her, but the mission was open-ended, and it didn't matter if I failed. The system didn't say I had to succeed anyway. Some students around were whispering, "Fuck, which class is this hero from?" I declare him my idol. How dare Wang Lin, a boy like Zhao Li, confess his love to such a cool and noble lady? There's no way she would agree to him. This is a joke. The discussion in the audience made me feel more and more like a joke, but it was also funny. Zhao Li was so calm that she sat there with a cold look in her eyes. Humph, big ass, today I will let you know why the flowers are so white. Her cold aura seemed ready to pounce on me at any time. I realized that I might really have to pay a price today. Bang! The office door was pushed open violently. Wang Lin, are you crazy? My father glared at me, clearly enraged. It's fine if you tease me in private, but today you dared to tease a girl in public. How can I face my colleagues? My award certificate is going to be ruined. I lowered my head and didn't dare to look up. What did you say? He was stunned. Teacher, listen to my excuse. I whispered, almost unable to hold my mouth. Forget about the certificate. I could just go to Pinduoduo and make a bunch of copies. I said helplessly. My father was stunned. He didn't expect me to react like this. How dare you joke with me? This is actually quite normal. I tried to explain. We humans are advanced animals. Since animals have estrus, isn't this our puberty? I paused, knowing that this topic should be over. Father's anger obviously did not ease, and he gave me 3 head slaps in a short time. 3 minutes later, the father finally took a deep breath and suppressed his anger. Wang Lin, the teacher knows that you are in adolescence. These are all normal, but you have to choose the right situation. Do you understand? 10 minutes later, after a long conversation, I seem to understand. Thank you, Teacher Lin. Get lost. Okay. Chapter 3. I pushed open the door of the classroom, walked to Zhao Li, and said apologetically, I'm sorry. Zhao Li, I was anxious about what happened on the playground before. Just pretend it never happened. She blinked and smiled. It's nothing, Wang Lin, I don't care. But she was thinking in her heart, just an apology? No way. Her forgiveness made me feel relieved, and I was finally able to relax a little, but then the existence of the system made me feel uneasy. I knew it was not simple, and since it had bound me, it would definitely not let me go. As for contacting the parents, as my father mentioned, I didn't take it seriously at all. I knew my parents. They would probably take me directly to see Zhao Li and ask her if she was a Wang family descendant. Soon, the class entered the self-study mode, and my father chose to be a hands-off boss, letting everyone study on their own. I finally had time to study this system. God has eyes. I couldn't help muttering. Half an hour later, Li Zheng woke up and saw that I had become the focus of the whole school. He teased, Boss Wang, Yanzi has climbed on a phone Wang? The whole school is discussing your confession. I shrugged, thinking to myself, this reputation is not good at all. I'll wait until the system gives me something else to do. At this moment, the system suddenly sounded, system, accept the 5-step fist mastery. A huge stream of information poured into my brain. The 5-step boxing and various fighting techniques instantly filled my consciousness. I felt as if I had decades of martial arts skills. As I acquired skills, I realized that this world was not as simple as I thought. There were not only warriors, but also technology and even powerful beings. The place I traveled to was not simply a world of advanced martial arts, cultivation, or doomsday, but a parallel blue planet that integrated warriors and technology. I'm sleepy, let's go to sleep. I felt a little dizzy, so I closed my eyes and prepared to take a nap. An hour later, Li Zheng's voice woke me up. Brother Wang, give me the answers to today's homework. I pushed his hand away impatiently. Go away, look for yourself. Then I continued to daydream lazily. At this time, the confession wall of Linhai University exploded. The whole school was discussing me, and I was even given the title of 2.5 years trainee. Zhao Li was called Empress Zhao Li, and her name became synonymous with the cold and beautiful goddess. I lazily walked down the street, my steps swaying as if I might fall at any time. No matter how many hours of sleep I had, I was still a lazy guy. I was thinking about the system, but the system hadn't responded since it gave me the reward. I wondered if it was deliberately leaving me in suspense. Forget it, never mind, go back to sleep. I muttered, but my steps suddenly stopped, and the air became heavy. What's that sound? I turned around suddenly, alert. At this time, the back door of a truck opened and several strong men in black clothes came out. I felt that these people were not simple, and my intuition told me that their purpose was not simple. Damn it, they are kidnapping. My heart tightened as I saw several children being taken to the truck. With great power comes great responsibility. An old man once told me. In this case, I decided to take action. Hey, what are you doing? I walked in front of the truck and asked calmly, this is a society ruled by law. If you dare to kidnap someone, be careful that the police will come to your door at night. One of the burly men turned around, his face darkened, and suddenly he slapped me on the butt. Wow! I was stunned for a moment, and then I felt a strange comfort. Hey! I turned around angrily. Don't touch me. The continuous blows made me lose my patience. I knew these people were not ordinary people, and their boss must be extraordinary. When I heard, the boss wants to see this bad boy, my heart sank, and I realized that I was in big trouble. Brother, I don't want to do these things. I can help with other things. Let me go, and I will donate a kidney tomorrow. I begged for mercy, but they ignored me. Shut up, one of them shouted angrily. The truck stopped, and I was thrown off roughly. The scene in front of me stunned me instantly. This was not an ordinary place, but a magnificent lobby with bodyguards in black suits standing around. A familiar voice came, "Wake him up for me." A few seconds later, I escaped from the darkness and entered an empty hall, surrounded by golden light, and bodyguards in black suits stood upright. My eyes locked on the main seat, a familiar figure. What the hell? Iskramat Amparoli. Zhao Li was looking down at me with a smug smile in her eyes. What did you call me? Oh, Chapter 4. Something's wrong, absolutely wrong. My alertness soared instantly. Zhao Li's smile was not as gentle as it seemed on the surface. Her smile was cold and murderous, like an enraged mare, ready to tear her prey apart at any time. This feeling was so strong that it seemed as if the air was oppressing me. As a candidate for Peking University, or Tsinghua University, my intuition quickly made me realize that this situation was far more complicated than I had imagined. The conversation between the black-clad muscular man on the truck made me guess the power behind Zhao Li. Big sister. I was confused. She's not really a gangster, is she? Our ancestors often say, strong women are femme fatale. I realized then that there was a terrible force behind Zhao Li. She was not simple. Fuck, I suddenly realized. She is here for revenge. Seeing her squatting down with a smile and a strong, teasing look in her eyes, my heart almost stopped beating. Wang Lin, do you need to get to know me again? She asked in a low voice, with a threat that could not be ignored. I swallowed and forced myself to stay calm. I think it's not impossible, but my heart was already in a mess. She's from the Liu family of Mo Du, and her family has been involved in organized crime for generations. As the leader of the underworld in Linhai City, she is cruel and ruthless. It is impossible to escape from her. Student Zhao Li, what I just said was all nonsense. Do you believe it? I said it almost forcefully, but I knew deep down that if I didn't give a 100% response, I might never get out of here. Her eyes instantly turned cold. Nonsense. Her tone was filled with murderous intent. I have never suffered such an injustice in my life. All those who have humiliated me are dead. Her words were like a sharp knife, piercing my heart. Zhao Li's anger brought unprecedented pressure. Her teeth clenched and her tone became more and more urgent. Wang Lin, does your silence mean you agree to something? I swallowed and gasped. I was wrong, I shouldn't have said that. Zhao Li smiled contemptuously. So you are a coward. Her tone was full of provocation. In an instant, I realized that she was provoking me. She was forcing me to make a decision. Host, please be honest and trustworthy. If you take one small step of honesty, you will be rewarded with 2 more steps. The system prompt suddenly popped up, reminding me that there was still a chance for a reversal. Shut up, I roared in my heart. You always disappear at critical moments and only remind me when I'm in danger. The host is detected to be insulting the system. The host has 10 seconds to obey his heart. Otherwise, the system reward will be taken away, the host will be dead on the street, and the system will unbind him. Next one. God damn it. I roared and counted down in my mind. 10, 9, 7. You haven't even called 8 yet. I muttered in my mind. 5. Okay, I got it. I decided not to hesitate anymore. After all, I was proficient in the 5-step boxing and could give a hard fight. Zhao Li's smile became even more intense. Okay, coward, you're so boring. Do you really think I'll let you go? Student Zhao Li, I said with a wry smile, you are so perfect with a 30-60 bust. You are in the top 3 in the whole school. I said this to ease her anger, but I was totally wrong. Your butt is pretty nice too, so you should be in the top 3 in the school. The air froze instantly. Zhao Li was stunned. Then she locked her cold eyes on me and said, How dare you insult me? The bodyguards behind her were also stunned, but a trace of admiration appeared in their eyes. Awesome, one bodyguard whispered. One, another exclaimed. I was stunned. Aren't you angry? Your eldest sister was teased by me, but she was not angry. Instead, she looked at me with admiration. Zhao Li's face instantly turned red, and she was obviously extremely angry. She didn't expect that I would dare to tease her so boldly. Then, her expression turned cold and chilly. Wang Lin, her voice exploded like thunder. You're finished. Her words carried an endless threat. Shameless, obscene, despicable, brain-dead. How dare you insult me like this? I finally realized that this situation was completely out of my control, and I might not survive. I wanted to say something, but Zhao Li didn't allow me any chance to speak. You pervert. You're going to die. She rushed towards me and kicked me at high speed. My heart almost jumped out of my chest, but with my master-level fighting skills, I reacted quickly and accurately predicted her attack. Chapter 5. Fuck, this woman is serious. My heart was shocked, and the sense of crisis instantly exploded. With my master-level fighting skills, I cleverly avoided her attack. The situation in front of me was somewhat unbelievable. Under the confused gaze of a group of bodyguards, I easily untied the restraints on my body and the speed was so fast that even Zhao Li was stunned for a few seconds. Big sister. Protect big sister. The bodyguards' voices came anxiously. Come again. Zhao Li was unwilling to give up and kicked with a whip kick again. I reacted quickly and dodged easily. Her second kick missed, and her momentum was instantly weakened. Her core strength began to collapse. The bodyguards panicked. It's over. Zhao Li had lost her balance and slowly fell towards the rubble. Even a god couldn't save her from the 5-meter distance. Her eyes were filled with fear, realizing that she could not control herself and was about to fall. I felt a complicated feeling in my heart, and suddenly her body fell vertically without control. At the moment when everyone was in despair, I suddenly reached out and caught her. Zhao Li was instantly held tightly in my arms, and when our eyes met, she did not panic, but the cold hostility in her eyes gradually disappeared. And it smells so good. I couldn't help but sniff a few more times. Her breath, with a light milky fragrance, was intoxicating. Zhao Li was slightly stunned, and some absurd scenarios popped up in her mind. Is this a plot like the one in the novel where a hero saves a beautiful girl? Is she my Prince Charming? She suddenly felt confused and wanted to push my hand away, but a strange feeling came over her. No, she quickly denied it in her mind. Absolutely not. How could this gangster? Zhao Li, are you okay? I asked mischievously. Her face was slightly hot. No, nothing, thank you. Her voice was a little hesitant, and she suddenly thought of something and quickly added, No, don't think too much. Then let me see yours. I smiled and held out my hand. Get lost. She glared at me, completely teased by me. In just a few seconds, my heroic image in her heart collapsed instantly, exposing my hooligan nature. Zhao Li's eyes flashed with helplessness. Sure enough, a hooligan is a hooligan, and he is a straight man. At this time, Zhao Li's bodyguards finally regained their vigilance and surrounded her to protect her. Everyone was a little uneasy. Everything that happened today forced them to consider their future. Big sister, are you okay? The leading bodyguard asked with concern. Zhao Li coughed lightly and waved her hand. I'm fine. She paused and looked at me. Student Wang Lin, we're even now. I stood there, motionless, with no intention of backing down. The bodyguards around were a little stunned. This kid is so ungrateful. Does he think that he can hug the beauty by saving the eldest sister? Kid, hurry up and leave. A bodyguard began to taunt. You want to pick up beautiful girls just after you grow hair? Does Daniel Wu give you the courage? I coughed and responded calmly. Don't get me wrong, I just want to ask, where are you from? The bodyguards were speechless for a moment. They never expected that I would dare to say that. You kidnappers are such a jerk. Don't you feel tired wearing suits to kidnap people? I continued, change to Zhongshan suits next time, and stop worshipping foreign things. Zhao Li had already started to put on her headphones and ignored me. She looked out the window, clearly a little annoyed. Second brother, I really want to kill him. A bodyguard whispered. Brother supports you. Another bodyguard responded. Forget it, I can't beat him. The second brother sighed helplessly. I continued to talk to myself, completely unaware that I had made the atmosphere in the car weird. He even started complaining about how many eggs were lost in the east of the city, how many cans were picked up by the uncles in the west of the city, and even said that he had not done any good deeds today. Oh, by the way, turn left and go straight, stop the car and wait for me. I want to pack some dumplings. I added nonchalantly. Zhao Li's face instantly turned as dark as the bottom of a pot. Shut up. From now on, don't say a word on the way home. I shut up in dismay, but couldn't help thinking, sure enough, girls with big butts are prone to anger. I should stay away from her in the future. What a pity that I didn't get to eat the soup dumplings today. The car continued to drive and stopped at the intersection of the community 10 minutes later. Since no one communicated with me, I fell asleep in the car without realizing it. Hiss! A piercing sound woke me up from my deep sleep. I turned around and saw that the car was quiet. I showed my big white teeth and said, Thank you for making a special trip. I'll treat you to Xilongbao next time. Chapter 6. The moment the car door closed, the bodyguard stepped on the accelerator and the car drove away quickly. Zhao Li turned her head and looked at my figure getting farther and farther away, with a slight smile on her face. As expected of the school hunk, he's quite pure, she whispered with a mysterious smile on her face. However, as her thoughts slowly drifted away, her eyelids gradually became heavy, and she finally fell asleep quietly in the car. The smile on her lips was still hanging, as if she was thinking about something complicated. It's over, second brother. The lady is not really in love with that brat, is she? A bodyguard whispered. Yes, 9 times out of 10. The best way to conquer a woman is to be a hero and save her. Another bodyguard agreed. Besides, that kid is pretty good in other aspects except eating dumplings. He continued with a smile. Half an hour later, in the Liu family villa, the air was filled with the strong aroma of tea. The cold and beautiful queen, in the eyes of the outside world, actually had a warm home here. Zhao Li walked into the door. She saw her elder brother and younger brother, who had been with her since she was a child. Although her parents were busy with family affairs all year round, she never felt lonely. Sister, Lu Jiangnan, ran into her arms like a wild horse. He was her closest brother, and they had always had a good relationship. After some pleasantries, Zhao Li returned to her room. Holding her pink teddy bear, her thoughts drifted back to me. Although they were in the same school and lived very close to each other, the strange feeling made her blush slightly. I don't want to be this perverted, straight guy who likes Zilong Bayo. She muttered in a low voice, and the little bear in her hand became the object of her venting. Kill the stinky Wang Lin. She gritted her teeth angrily. At the same time, Lu Jiangnan and Lu Wuqing looked at each other on the sofa, and the atmosphere was solemn. Although Lu Jiangnan was young, he had established a firm foothold in the underworld with the help of his family's influence. Compared to his elder brother Lu Wuqing, he is more ruthless and is the iron-fisted figure in the family. That's what happened, patriarch. The leading bodyguard reported in a low voice. The other bodyguards did not dare to say much either, as they knew that they had to be honest in front of Lu Wuqing, as any lie could be fatal. Is this guy strong? Lu Wuqing frowned, his eyes sharp. Yes, patriarch. Even if more than a dozen of us bodyguards join forces, we may not be able to subdue him. The bodyguards lower their heads, obviously shocked by my strength. Lu Wuqing pondered for a moment and said, Brother, this person dared to humiliate my sister. I must deal with this matter personally. Lu Jiangnan said angrily, with a gleam of revenge in his eyes. Shut up. Lu Wuqing scolded coldly. He might just be a college student. If he has no ill intentions, I could turn a blind eye. He sighed slightly. However, if they were sent by a hostile family, that would be a different matter. He thought silently, knowing that every move in the family was related to the future. If I was really sent by the enemy, I must be eliminated as soon as possible. I don't want Zhao Li to be involved in these things, Lu Wuqing said in a low voice. She's my most important relative. At the dinner table, Lu Wuqing, Lu Jiangnan, and Zhao Li sat together, enjoying the dinner time. The atmosphere was still warm, but Lu Wuqing noticed something was wrong. Brother, your cooking skills seem to have declined. Lu Jiangnan joked. Yes, the fish-flavored pork shreds you made used to be the most delicious. Why is it lacking in flavor today? Zhao Li also teased. Lu Wuqing coughed lightly, trying to hide his embarrassment. Zhao Li, how is that boy today? Zhao Li was stunned, her eyes flickering. Oh, I quite like him. What? Lu Wuqing interrupted in surprise. You like him? No, nothing. She hurriedly denied, obviously a little flustered. He is a big pervert, a big hooligan, and a big straight man. Zhao Li finally couldn't help but reveal her true feelings, but the blush on her face betrayed her. Lu Wuqing's heart moved, and he looked at his sister silently, and suddenly he understood something. Girls can't be kept at home when they grow up. He sighed in a low voice, as if he understood something. Chapter 7. Zhao Li asked that young man to come home and visit tomorrow. It happens that your brother also wants to meet the big gangster you mentioned. Lu Wuqing chuckled with a teasing look in his eyes. Zhao Li was stunned for a moment. Then, after she reacted, she quickly shook her head. What? I don't want that big gangster to come. She glared at her brother angrily. Lu Wuqing said calmly. So do you like him, or not? No, I don't like him. Zhao Li raturta angrili. Her face was as red as a stove, but the two brothers could tell from their eyes that she was lying. Lu Jiangnan's eyes suddenly lit up, and he said excitedly, Since the second sister doesn't like him, then I'll let my younger brother bury him? Lu, Jiang, Nan, Zhao Li shouted angrily. If you dare to bury Wang Lin, I will castrate you. She threatened, clenching her fists, revealing her cute fangs, and looked at them provocatively. Lu Wuqing and Lu Jiangnan smiled at each other, not surprised at all. Zhao Li angrily finished the last bite of rice and went upstairs angrily. I'm mad at you, Lu Jiangnan complained in a low voice, looking aggrieved. Get lost. Lu Wuqing waved his hand impatiently. Don't mention him again. Inside the room, Zhao Li held the pink teddy bear and cursed angrily. You jerk. You pervert. You straight man. Every time she cursed, she slapped the teddy bear hard. I will never like him, not in my entire life. She whispered, her face flushed. In her excitement, she tiredly closed her eyes and fell into a deep sleep. The legendary bar in Linhai City was dimly lit at night, and the crowd in the bar gradually dispersed. Lu Wuqing and Lu Jiangnan sat quietly at the front desk, and the atmosphere was depressing. Master, I was wrong. I deserve to die. A man knelt on the ground, his face bruised and swollen. Obviously, he had just been educated. Lu Wuqing's face was grim. He took out a cigarette, lit it quietly, and the smoke drifted away gently. Lu San, you have served the family for more than 10 years and experienced 2 generations of family heads. You should know the rules of the Lu family. Lu Wuqing's voice was as cold as a knife. Lu San raised his head, his eyes full of fear. Master, I was wrong. Please give me another chance. If you make a mistake, the family rule is death, no matter how loyal you are. Lu Wuqing said coldly. Before he finished speaking, a black shadow suddenly appeared. Sister Wang. The bodyguard's eyes widened as they saw the Lu family's strongest fighter, Wang Fong, appear in the hall. She was the real pillar of the Lu family, the female devil in the rumors. You will have to pay the price if you are wrong. Wang Fong sneered. Before she finished her words, a toothpick was stuck in Lu San's neck and blood gushed out. He stared at Wang Fong with his eyes wide open, and finally closed his eyes, dying with his eyes open. The atmosphere in Lu Wuqing and Lu Jiangnan's office became even more solemn. Lu Wuqing leaned back in his chair, looking out the window at the night, his brows furrowed. Brother, these families are too arrogant. Lu Jiangnan said in a low voice. Our Lu family has grown so fast in recent years, and many people want to drag us down with them. They won't let us go. Lu Wuqing sighed, his face full of fatigue. These old guys have a deep foundation. It's not easy to completely convince them. Brother, let Grandpa decide next thing. Lu Jiangnan said helplessly. Yes. Lu Wuqing nodded and sighed deeply. Then, Lu Wuqing decided to let Wang Fong personally investigate this young man of mine to see what kind of trouble he could cause. Black Rose, my family, you guys really have a good plan. These old guys really think highly of Zhao Li. Chapter 8. I was just substituted off the court, standing at the edge of the playground, wiping my sweat off. I looked at the time and realized that I had been playing basketball for more than an hour. The air was hot and stuffy. Today's exercise was finally over. The sun was hanging in the sky like a blazing fire, and the air around it was like the charcoal fire in an oven, burning unbearably. Despite this, the air was still humid, making people even more uncomfortable. Looking up at the merciless sun, I couldn't help but sigh. It's really worthy of being a southern coastal city, humid and hot. In the far corner, 2 girls were standing. One of them was Zhao Li's best friend, Lu Haha. Zhao Li, we've been watching for so long. Shall we go? She was about to speak, but was interrupted by Zhao Li. Seeing Zhao Li turning away in a panic, Lu Haha whispered in confusion. Strange, is there someone in the school who makes Zhao Li so nervous? I frowned slightly, and my spiritual sense moved, instantly locking on a Zhao Li's figure. Today she was wearing a white floral dress, and her skin as smooth as snow under the sun aroused my uneasiness. Fuck, this figure is too explosive. No wonder even the system wants to change the rules. Suddenly, the system's reminder broke my thoughts. The target person has been detected. Please stick to the principles. Otherwise, the system will withdraw all rewards. I shuddered slightly and cursed in my heart. This damn system must have discovered it a long time ago. 5 minutes later, the intersection of fate happened quietly. We bumped into each other almost by accident, standing so close that we could almost smell each other's breath. She followed me, and I didn't want to see her, and all this was most likely caused by that damn system. I couldn't help but curse quietly. System, stop trying to bring them together. This female devil is a gangster who kidnapped a top student. At a distance of 2 meters, Zhao Li's natural bare face, 3-dimensional facial features, and slender legs attracted almost everyone's attention. The air froze instantly. We looked at each other, and time seemed to stand still. After a while, I broke the deadlock. Hello, classmate Zhao Li. Hello. She responded briefly, and the atmosphere was extremely awkward. I continued awkwardly. What a coincidence. She responded calmly. It is indeed a coincidence. I was about to leave, but unexpectedly she suddenly shouted, No. I was stunned. Huh. She burst into anger, obviously because I didn't buy her milk tea. She silently labeled me in her heart. Stingy. I quickly asked, Classmate Zhao Li, is there anything I can help you with? She answered directly, accompany me for dinner. After that, she walked out of the school gate without looking back. Shut up. I cursed the system and couldn't help but complain in my mind. What kind of magic operation is this? Zhao Li's pink SUV was parked outside the school gate. I obediently sat in the passenger seat, thinking to myself, with a beautiful woman as the driver, it would be strange if she didn't get a lot of attention. Suddenly, a group of classmates gathered around. Fuck, isn't that Zhao Li? Zhao Li. Following a burst of exclamations, eyes scattered, jealousy, envy, and even dirty words instantly flooded into the ears. I lowered my head in embarrassment and heard more comments. Who is this boy? Is he a well-maintained gigolo? Oh, he's quite handsome. I pay for him. I gritted my teeth and swore to myself. These people are so boring. The car started, and Zhao Li asked calmly, what do you want to eat? I tentatively answered, Xylong Bayo. Her face darkened, hi to. I was a little surprised, thinking she didn't like it. So, asked again, rice bowl? She didn't respond. Ramen. Shut up. She finally exploded, almost trying to strangle me. The car drove at a high speed, and 10 minutes later, it stopped in front of a hot pot restaurant. Linhai City is humid and hot, and the spicy taste of the hot pot is just right for the climate here. This hot pot restaurant is very exquisitely decorated and has a lively atmosphere, as if it is owned by the Liu family. When the boss saw Zhao Li, he greeted her with a smile on his face. Zhao Li, you are finally here. Zhao Li smiled and said, it's okay. I just came to Uncle Li's shop to show my support. Obviously, this is a place she often visits. The boss, Uncle Li, looked at me with a bright look in his eyes, as if he knew our relationship. After we sat down, the hot pot was steaming and bubbling. Would you like to drink something? Zhao Li asked. No. Why? Because there are no dumplings. I answered casually. Veins suddenly popped up on Zhao Li's face, and the atmosphere became tense. 10 minutes later, we finally started talking. I have to say, the food in this restaurant is pretty good. I couldn't help but rate it in my mind. 9 points, because they have Xylong Bayo. Chapter 9, starting with the hot pot. I was like a tireless foodie, stuffing food into my mouth crazily. Although the hot pot made by Zhao Li was ordinary, her craftsmanship made the taste several levels higher. Every ingredient is just right, and the heat and time are perfectly controlled. For a foodie like me, there is simply no resistance. Watching me devouring the food, Zhao Li sat quietly by the side, feeling a little overwhelmed. How can this guy eat so much? She couldn't help but wonder, with a hint of surprise in her eyes. Seeing that I was eating so happily, Zhao Li's mouth corners slightly raised, and her originally cold face revealed a hint of tenderness. How strange. Zhao Li sighed in her heart. She actually felt satisfied. Looking at me wolfing down the food like a child, a strange warmth surged in her heart. Her heart was gradually melted by this simple feeling of satisfaction. Is this what motherly love is? She thought to herself. However, my attention was not on her at all, and I was only thinking about the delicious hot pot. Zhao Li couldn't help but lower her head to take a few photos and sent them to her brother Liu Wuqing, who replied almost immediately. Against the will of heaven, Liu Wuqing's message flashed in an instant. I never thought that a beautiful girl like Zhao Li would actually uproot a weeping willow tree. Zhao Li's face darkened instantly, and she could almost feel her brother's wretched smile. Are you still my brother? Zhao Li thought dissatisfiedly. She was obviously a cool and arrogant sister. How could she take the initiative to pursue a man? However, Liu Wuqing's next words made her feel even worse. Let me tell you, this kid has a childhood sweetheart, and they have been together for more than 10 years. You have to be careful. Zhao Li's face darkened instantly, and she became more and more annoyed as she watched me. I'm leaving, she said coldly, turning around and leaving. I was stuffing my steamed buns with mouthfuls when I was stunned. What's wrong? What happened? Did I make her angry? I was confused. Remember to pay the bill. Zhao Li's voice broke my doubts. Her anger seemed to subside instantly. Looking at her cold expression, I felt that I was really helpless. Half an hour later, we walked out of the hot pot restaurant side by side. After a few minutes of silence, Zhao Li finally broke the silence. Are you free? No time. I answered directly. A meal of steamed dumplings. Her tone was flat. What? I looked at her in confusion. Come home with me, she said suddenly. I was stunned. Hot pot was her bribe? Are you kidding me? I felt a little uneasy and felt that I was about to be led by this girl. Seeing her innocent expression, I suddenly had a bad feeling in my heart. She wanted me to meet her parents so soon? Hey, although I'm proficient in the five-step boxing, I still feel a little uneasy when facing the underworld family behind Zhao Li. Her family is not that simple. If I anger her, how can I live in peace? The system's prompt sounded in my ears. Host integrity issue detected. Please follow your heart. Otherwise, the mission will fail and the reward will be reclaimed. 6. I couldn't help cursing. Other systems were saving the world, but my system was specifically designed to punish me. In the end, I gave in. See you tomorrow, Zhao Li said, and turned away. Walking in the wind by the river, I breathed a sigh of relief. After all, we are in a society ruled by law now, so nothing should go wrong. But at this moment, a charming figure suddenly appeared in front of me. Fuck, a she-male performing for money? I couldn't help but blurt out. The woman slowly took out a pistol. My heartbeat suddenly accelerated. Isterte here nervously. Hello, what's the matter? She got straight to the point. Lu Jia, you can call me Sister Fong. I was stunned. Makes sense. My heart skipped a beat. This Sister Fong of the Lu family? You are quite capable. But remember, you only have one life. Her words were cold, and she pointed the gun at me. I smiled bitterly. Don't worry, Sister Fong. As a college student, I am very sensible. He who knows the current situation is a hero. We were eventually taken to a private room on the second floor of the water cube. In the darkness, several guns were pointed at me. I didn't feel the slightest bit of fear, but instead I felt inexplicably excited. Aren't you afraid? She asked. No worries, I answered calmly, eating the fruit on the table, thinking that the fruit in the bar must be better than the expired fruit in the supermarket. Bang! A gunshot rang out, the bullet was loaded, and the muzzle was pointed directly at my head. Aren't you afraid that I will kill you? She asked coldly. I smiled confidently. I bet there are no bullets in your gun. Good boy. You are not afraid of danger. You are a good candidate. She smiled and seemed more interested in me. Chipped of deceit. Ba-ba-ba. Ba-ba-ba. A burst of applause broke the silence, and Lu Wuqing, wearing a dark suit, walked slowly forward. Well done, young man. You are extremely calm in the face of danger. You are worthy of being the initiator of taming the Black Rose. I nodded slightly, accepting the compliment. Zhao Li has been spoiled since she was a child, and has a bit of a bad temper. Lu Wuqing continued. I felt helpless, thinking, I am the person involved. Why are you sighing here first? If it weren't for that damn mission, I really didn't want to get involved with the underworld. You know, if I confessed to my homeroom teacher on the playground earlier, I wouldn't be involved in these troubles now. Lu Wuqing knew. Zhou isa dumpe. It was harder than climbing to the sky to win her sister's heart. Looking at me, Wang Fong beside me suddenly became very angry. She was older than Lu Wuqing and had mixed feelings, especially toward Zhao Li, who had always been her godmother. You little brat, you want to run away as soon as you put on your pants? Are you tired of living? She knows that I am different from ordinary people and even more scheming than some old foxes, but this is not a reason for me to quibble. As soon as Wang Fong finished speaking, the atmosphere suddenly became cold and the temperature in the room seemed to drop sharply. Boy, you'd better give me an explanation. Otherwise, don't even think about walking out of this door today. She said this fiercely, and the bodyguards around her were on high alert. I raised my eyebrows, raised the corners of my mouth slightly, and sneered. Are you sure you want to do this? My low voice carried a deterrent force that made it impossible for people to resist. Lu Wuqing's face changed, and a hint of coldness flashed in his eyes. He didn't expect that I was so fearless of them. However, I didn't want to provoke trouble first. I didn't say, pull up your pants. I retorted lightly. Before I finished speaking, Wang Fong and the bodyguards rushed over like wild horses. This is a good place to test the power of the five-step punch. Facing the attack, I just jumped lightly to avoid it. Fuck the real-life Tigger. The Lu family's bodyguards were stunned. They had never expected my reaction to be so quick. Lu Wuqing's expression was also shocked. A warrior, definitely a warrior, with a powerful force behind him. In this fight, I have gradually adapted to the rhythm of the five-step boxing. In less than 10 seconds, all the bodyguards fell to the ground, wailing. Next, it was Wang Fong's turn. She has provoked me more than once, and today is the perfect time for her to have a taste of my revenge. Wang Fong is indeed extraordinary. She reacts very quickly and easily resists my attack. Want to try? As soon as I finished speaking, I launched a full-strength attack with lightning speed. The five-step punch almost shook the whole room, and the air seemed to be compressed. Each blow was delivered with unrivaled power and precision. Wang Fong raised her hands and crossed them to block, but she was clearly unable to withstand the force. Bang! My whip kick hit her ribs with a deafening sound. Wang Fong was knocked out, blood gushing out, and she didn't react at all. She fell to the ground, struggling and unable to stand up. Now can I go? I asked coldly, with mixed feelings. Do these people really have to be beaten up to be satisfied? Wait, Lu Wuqing suddenly called me. Little brother, to have such strength, you must have learned from a powerful master. Can you tell me? I curled my lips and said, I don't have a master. Lu Wuqing's eyes flashed with suspicion. You are lying. I didn't lie. I replied calmly. Then why are you so strong? I dreamed about it. Do you believe it? I asked disdainfully. Lu Wuqing was speechless for a while. Do you think you are Wei Zhong, who killed the Dragon King in his dream? Wang Fong spoke with difficulty on the ground. Young people have great strength, but they are too light and cannot exert their full strength. She obviously felt the power of my attack. I'm too light. I'm so light. Do you believe me when I said I only used 30% of my strength to kick you? Wang Fong was stunned and didn't know how to respond. After the misunderstanding was resolved, Lu Wuqing finally let go of me for the time being. He was still a little worried about his sister's choice in the future, but it was not his responsibility to worry about it. Finally, I grabbed a handful of grapes and walked out the door, casually. Master, something bad has happened. There's a group of thugs in suits holding baseball bats, making trouble on the first floor. What? Lu Wuqing was furious when he heard it. Master, they're not troublemakers from other families, but they heard that Wang Lin is here. Lu Wuqing was stunned. Wang Lin. Wang Fong sneered at the side. Awesome. It's outrageous. The bodyguards on the ground were also confused. Chapter 11. Lu Wuqing glanced around nervously. The provocation from the thugs in suits was obviously not without reason. There must be a powerful force behind them. He knew that the Ma family had already set up a chess game in this confrontation. I remained calm beside him, as if everything was under control. A cold light flashed in Lu Wuqing's eyes. Ma Huateng, the heir of the Ma family, sat across the sofa with a provocative smile on his lips. You, the people from the Lu family, actually dare to come and cause trouble for me? He sneered, his tone full of disdain. Do you think you can stand in front of me? Lu Wuqing said, almost gritting his teeth, his voice cold. Ma Huateng raised his eyelids lazily, with contempt on his lips. How many people in your Lu family can I be afraid of? I am your mortal enemy. His tone was sharp, not disguising his arrogance at all. Looking around, the thugs in suits standing around were even more intimidating. Lu Wuqing's eyes flashed with anger, but he knew very well that this was not the time to be an enemy of Ma Huateng. If he really did, it would inevitably lead to a bloody battle between the two families, and the situation would be difficult to control. Do you think that if you kill me, the Lu family can rest easy? Wrong. That would only be digging your own grave. Ma Huateng's voice became more determined, and his words were full of threats and provocations. Lu Wuqing was silent for a moment, his heart full of anger and helplessness. Facing this kid, he knew he couldn't take it lightly. Otherwise, the consequences would be unbearable. At this moment, suddenly, a light cough came from upstairs, breaking the deadlock. Lu Wuqing turned around and saw me walking down the stairs with a bag in my hand and a smile on my face. You guys continue chatting, I'll go get something. My appearance instantly froze the air. Lu Wuqing's heart suddenly sank, and an irresistible sense of crisis surged into his heart. Behind my seemingly harmless smile, there was an elusive, deep meaning. It's over, Lu Wuqing said in a low voice, feeling an unprecedented sense of uneasiness in his heart. Ma Huateng didn't care, but there was a hint of confusion in his provocative eyes. I was not afraid at all, as if I had already seen through the situation. The one-eyed man stood aside, without any fluctuation in his eyes, but he watched everything vigilantly, as if any situation was within his expectations. Just as Ma Huateng was about to wave his hand to signal for action, something unexpected happened. The suit thug's movements suddenly stopped, as if he was restrained by some force. Ma Huateng frowned, and his tone became impatient. What's going on? A thug hesitated for a moment and whispered, Sorry, boss. Our principle is not to harm innocent people. The Lu family bodyguards were stunned for a moment. What? They obviously couldn't believe this sudden answer. Don't just stand there, do it. Ma Huateng ordered again, with violence in his eyes about to explode. However, all this did not go as expected. The rioters still did not make any moves, and the atmosphere became more tense. Suddenly, Lu Wuqing stared at one of them. and then turned to One Eye. One Eye, he growled. Me coldly. The muzzle of the gun flashed with a cold light, and the air was filled with the danger of an imminent outbreak. As the click sound rang out, Lu Wuqing and others' faces suddenly changed. This madman in front of them could do anything. If his hands shook, the consequences would be disastrous. Suddenly, a voice sounded. It is detected that the host's life is in danger. You will get a reward if you kill this person. There is no punishment if you fail. I snorted coldly, my heart filled with anger. Now, even my most basic dignity has been trampled upon. Today, even if there is no reward, I have to do something and can't just let it go. But why is there no punishment for failing this mission? This makes me a little confused. Tongzi, why is there no punishment for this failure? I couldn't help but ask. I'm already dead. Why should I be punished? The system's answer was cold and ruthless. Chapter 12. Stop. I shouted coldly, my tone full of coercion. Today is a feud between our two families. What does it have to do with a student? Lu Wuqing had a gamble in his mind, betting on whether Manhwa would dare to make a move. Even if he did, there was no way I could let him walk out of here alive. At most, I would owe him a favor. The situation was inevitable, and everyone was waiting for the final decision. Manhwa showed a hint of sneer. Master Lu is too polite. Since he dares to point a gun at me, I must be prepared to die. My voice was like an imperial decree, leaving no room for doubt. That's right. Xiaoma was stunned when he saw how decisive I was. He originally wanted to follow the steps Lu Wuqing had given him, but this kid was ignorant of his own limitations and tried to play the role of a hero saving a beautiful woman. In this case, it would not be too much to teach him a lesson today. So, you still want to talk to my boss? The one-eyed man standing aside couldn't help but sneer, with a provocative look in his eyes. I raised a sneer at the corner of my mouth and said in a flat tone, "That's exactly what I meant." Before I finished speaking, I bent my legs, exerted force on my feet, and rushed towards the two of them. The one-eyed man present was undoubtedly the strongest. Feeling the huge pressure from me, he couldn't help but frown, but he didn't have time to think about it. I appeared in front of the one-eyed man like a ghost, raised my leg, and kicked him in the stomach. The one-eyed man quickly turned sideways, avoiding most of the attack, but my toes still rubbed his abdomen, causing severe pain. The attack did not stop. I quickly appeared behind the one-eyed man and kicked him in the back again. The one-eyed man could not dodge and was knocked to the ground. Next, I turned and rushed towards the pony at an extremely fast speed, and in the blink of an eye I was standing in front of him. Xiaoma was terrified and wanted to draw his gun and shoot, but I was faster than him. I grabbed his wrist and twisted it hard, and the gun fell to the ground. I pressed Xiaoma to the ground and looked at him coldly. Why shoot me, kill me? The pony on the ground had never suffered such humiliation before. Today, I pressed him to the ground in front of everyone, and he lost all face. If this matter were to get out, his family status would collapse. As soon as I finished speaking, I pulled the trigger without hesitation. Bang! Bang! After a few gunshots, the one-eyed man fell into a coma. I knew in my heart that I was not willing to kill more people unless my own life was at stake. But the purpose of these shots at the one-eyed man was clear: to shock and intimidate. The gunshots echoed, and the bar fell into a dead silence. Even Lu Wuqing, who was used to the storm, was silent. I didn't look like an ordinary college student at all, but more like a veteran in the underworld. Xiaoma's hands began to tremble unconsciously. Obviously, he didn't expect that I would dare to shoot. In Linhai City, the Ma family's reputation is almost as loud as the Gao family. Everyone knows their existence. This was not the first time I used a gun, but the situation was different this time. One Eye had already made all the preparations for me. The system's voice suddenly sounded. Ding, the target person is still alive. Please kill him completely. Fuck, I almost forgot. The system is so perverted, it really wants to make me angry. I didn't hesitate. Bang, bang, bang. 3 shots accurately shot into the one-eyed man's eyebrows. With each gunshot, the one-eyed man fell to the ground completely. One Eye is dead. Awesome. At this moment, Ma Huatang's voice rang out from the ground with horror. You can't kill me. If you dare to kill me, the Lu family will not let you go. Bang. I didn't give him any chance. With the blessing of firearms proficiency, knowledge of the use and disassembly of various firearms suddenly flashed through my mind. Just like becoming an experienced veteran, I quickly adapted to all operations, and my shooting skills were handy. The bullet grazed Ma Huatang's scalp, and the sound of the wind suddenly echoed in his ears. Xiaoma almost stood still, not reacting at all. Are you serious? He was shocked, and his heartbeat quickened. I smiled and said, The fight between your two families has nothing to do with me. Hearing this, Xiao Ma was stunned for a moment, and even Lu Wuqing and Wang Fong were stunned. We were almost meeting for the first time, and there was no difference in camp at all. Ma Huateng saw the look in my eyes, and he was furious but had no way to vent it. Then he smiled and said, "Little brother, I was wrong today. Let's sit down and talk. You can propose any conditions." I couldn't help but sneer and drop the gun in my hand easily. The gun broke apart the moment it hit the ground, and the parts scattered everywhere. I don't know how big your background is in Linhai, but today's incident is over. If you dare to threaten my family, I will make you taste the pain of slow slicing. After saying that, I turned and left without looking back. Chapter 13. Lu Wuqing sat silently, his eyes deep, as if he was thinking about something. Ma Huadang had a ferocious face, sneered, and roared loudly. "I bet he will regret not killing me today." After saying this, he beckoned his men to help him up and ordered them to clean up the bodies on the ground. A heavy smell of blood filled the air. "Clean up this place. There will be bigger trouble in a few days." Ma Huadang's order was unquestionable. Lu Wuqing watched all this quietly, but his heart was full of contradictions and hesitations. He kept thinking in his heart whether I was worthy of the protection of the Lu family. He is powerful, but in the face of modern weapons, it is difficult for a warrior to be independent. Unless he is a master, he must rely on his family to survive. I took a deep breath of cigarette, the smoke filled the air, and my heart was filled with mixed emotions. Ma Huateng, I don't regret making an enemy of him. All of this is because of the advent of the system, which has brought about earth-shaking changes in my originally ordinary life. Now, I stand at the pinnacle of this world, but for some reason, my thoughts unconsciously returned to Zhao Li. If I hadn't chosen her, would there be other paths? I shook off all distractions, recalled 10 junior combat soldiers, and decided not to think about these complicated issues for the time being. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the task and receiving a mysterious reward. The system's voice suddenly sounded, and I couldn't help but sneer. Finally, we're getting down to business. Try to curse me again. The system's tone was somewhat dissatisfied. Congratulations to the host for winning the mysterious reward, the Supreme Body. The system's voice suddenly sped up. Instantly, an unprecedented power surged into my body. The cells in my body seemed to cheer, and some mysterious changes occurred in my body. Although my appearance hasn't changed much, I can feel the energy contained there, which is almost beyond belief. I walked to the Wanghua Lake in Linhai City, stared at the calm lake surface, and suddenly punched out. The lake's surface was violently rippled, water splashed everywhere, and the air seemed to be torn apart. I dare not imagine what would happen if this punch at a person. The Supreme Body made up for the shortcomings of my body. Now, I can easily deal with any killer with cold weapons. It was late at night, and I arranged precautions and prepared to have a good sleep. However, after killing one of the Ma family members and making enemies with Ma Huadang, I knew that my information had already been investigated by the Ma family. If Ma Huadang doesn't realize it tonight, he will definitely take action. At the same time, the Lu family. Lu Wuqing sat in the study, frowning, cigarettes lingering in his mouth. He looked at Lu Jiangnan and asked softly, "Brother, is Wang Lin worthy of our protection?" Wang Lin. Lu Wuqing's voice was low. He may have a martial arts family behind him, or even be a disciple of a master. If he can join the Lu family or become a guest elder, it may play an unexpected role in the competition with the three major families. Lu Jiangnan was stunned. "Brother, do you mean he is not simple?" "He is definitely not an ordinary college student." Lu Wuqing's eyes were sharp. "Have you heard of young grandmaster?" These words hit Lu Jiangnan's heart like a heavy hammer. The two looked at each other and seemed to have made a decision. "I will personally invite Wang Lin to the meeting of the four major families in 10 days. Lu Wuqing's voice was full of determination. At the same time, Zhao Li was still texting me in bed, almost exploding with anger. "You big pervert! You big hooligan! Why are you ignoring me?" She pushed the door open suddenly and yelled, "Can you please stop arguing? It's so annoying." Lu Wuqing and Lu Jiangnan looked at each other, obviously not understanding why she was angry. The next day, the sun shone through the curtains onto me, and the burning sensation made me slowly open my eyes. The tiredness from last night had disappeared, and my body felt incredibly relaxed. I looked at the precautions that had been put in place, and everything was normal. After washing up, I went to the small steam bun shop downstairs. Boss, the same as always, a basket of steamed buns, a cup of soy milk, and a bowl of kimchi. Okay, wait a minute, the boss replied with a smile. I sat down and ate the steaming hot dumplings, exclaiming with satisfaction. It was so satisfying. It was done in no time. After scanning the QR code to pay, I prepared to go home. Beep, beep, beep. The phone rang, and Zhao Li's voice came from the other end of the line. Hello? Stinky Wang Lin, are you awake? You're awake, Miss Liu. Can you change your name? I pretended to be dissatisfied. No, get to the gate of the community within 15 minutes, or you'll be dead on the street. Zhao Li's tone turned cold, and she hung up the phone. Oh my God, Miss Liu. I sighed helplessly, wearing black casual clothes, standing at the gate of the community waiting for her. 10 minutes later, a pink rice truck slowly drove over. I obediently sat in the passenger seat, looking at her profile. I couldn't help but turn on the gossip mode and talked nonstop. Seeing her painful expression, I felt secretly happy. Chapter 14. About 20 minutes later, the pink car slowly drove into the Liu family compound, and I got out of the car and looked around. Alas, it was another day of being forced to open for business. I wanted to spend a relaxing afternoon, but was dragged in by Zhao Li. The atmosphere of the mafia family was overwhelming. The empty villa garden was full of vitality, and the fountains and flower beds were all eye-catching. A row of men in black suits stood straight, looking at me curiously. Who is that guy? How could he be with Miss Liu? My eldest lady doesn't have the habit of keeping a gigolo, right? Damn, something's wrong. Although their discussions were loud, it did not stop them from working. The atmosphere of the Liu family is different from the strictness of other families. It is more of a balance of ease and relaxation. He who is righteous has many supporters, while he who is unrighteous has few supporters. He who wins the hearts of the people wins the world. This is Liu Wuqing's family philosophy. When the discussion reached Zhao Li's ears, she frowned slightly, and then said sternly with the aura of a gangster queen, "If you keep talking nonsense, I'll stomp you and feed you to the dogs." Everyone laughed, and the atmosphere suddenly became more relaxed. Everyone continued to do their jobs. Zhao Li pulled me and walked towards the door. I noticed that she was wearing a white dress, Valentino shoes, a small LV hat, and a dazzling emerald on her chest. She looked like a wealthy woman. In the living room, Liu Wuqing and Liu Jiangnan were talking. When they heard footsteps, they looked up and saw Zhao Li leading me in. This should be Wang Lin, right? Liu Jiangnan smiled and walked forward, holding my hand, and exerted force suddenly, as if to intimidate me. However, I easily shook off his hand, and he obviously underestimated me because he felt pain. Hello, Master Liu. I responded with a smile. Haha, calling you Master Liu is a bit strange. Be more casual. Liu Jiangnan smiled and sat down. Liu Wuqing looked at me calmly. Wang Lin, don't be restrained, just be casual. He continued. This should be our first meeting, right? But my young lady often mentions you, and she got angry for no reason last night. I raised my eyebrows and looked at Zhao Li, thinking to myself, this woman says one thing and means another. She's really good at scheming. Brother, what are you talking about? Zhao Li suddenly shouted. She didn't expect that her brother would expose her secrets in front of me. Liu Wuqing glared at her, and Zhao Li didn't dare to say anything. Liu Jiangnan took the opportunity to tease. Yes, my sister has mentioned you more than once, and as a younger brother, I also want to meet you. Zhao Li glared at him fiercely, while Liu Jiangnan smiled innocently. Then Liu Wuqing asked, I heard that you rented a house outside, and your family is not in Linhai City. They're all in my hometown, and the university dormitory is not suitable, so I just rented a house outside to live in. I answered simply, it's good. He is the campus hunk, and his grades are not bad. Liu Wuqing nodded. The two chatted for a while, and Zhao Li interrupted. All right, I'm hungry. Let's go cook, brother, and wait for Big Brother and Wang Lin to talk slowly. Okay, sister, I haven't tasted your cooking for a long time. Today, it's all thanks to Wang Lin. Liu Jiangnan teased. Wash your feet. Zhao Li glared at him. Wash yourself. Liu Jiangnan said jokingly. Liu Wuqing smiled and looked at me. Wang Lin, let's talk in the study while they cook. I nodded and followed him to the study. He handed me a cigarette, lit it, and took a long puff. Although she has her own power and is the queen of the underworld, there are some things she shouldn't know. I nodded to show my understanding. I am very surprised by what happened at the water cube last night, but given Ma Huadeng's personality, I guess your rental house has been smashed. He comes to take revenge, and I'm waiting to see him suffer the same fate as One Eye. I sneered. Liu Wuqing smiled slightly. I don't doubt the martial arts you mentioned, but I remind you that the Ma family has some relationship with the southeast military region and can mobilize heavy weapons. I nodded calmly. The supreme body gives me enough confidence. I am not worried. Lu Wuqing's eyes flashed with emotion. However, as the eldest brother, I have to care about one thing. Do you really like Zhao Li? This question made me stunned for a moment, and I thought to myself, finally. I took a deep breath and pretended to be surprised. I don't know how I feel about her. Of course I understand the confession, but everything that happened afterwards is like I can't break up with her. Chapter 15. She took me out to dinner, picked me up at her car, lost her temper in front of me, and bombarded me with WeChat messages. During the water lesson, I accidentally looked at her, and she left her bestie on the playground to come to me. I sighed, recalling it all. I've never been in a relationship, and I'm not sure if I like her, but she is definitely the one for me. At first, the confession was just teasing, the most superficial attraction like big butt and big breasts. Later, I found that I became dependent on her not only physically, but also psychologically. Lu Wuqing chuckled. He didn't have the majesty of a gangster. His eyes showed some ease and understanding. You wouldn't say these words to Zhao Li, right? Yes. I smiled bitterly. If she heard this, it would definitely become more complicated, even out of control. Lu Wuqing took a puff of cigarette and asked slowly, Wang Lin, what do you think of the Lu family? I thought about it and replied, last night, Manhwa and his group were very strict in their hierarchy, cold-blooded and ruthless, saying one thing in public and another in private. But I didn't see any of that at the Lu family. Although Zhao Li's bodyguards were funny, their work attitude was competent. Lu Wuqing smiled. You are right, the Lu family is indeed not like other families. He paused. A hint of appreciation flashed in his eyes. Although we are a mafia family, we have a bottom line. The conversation continued as the ashtray was filled with cigarette butts. Lu Wuqing looked me straight in the eye and asked, so what are you going to do in the future? I sighed, I don't know, but obviously my life has changed since I met Manhwa, especially after I came into contact with Zhao Li. Lu Wuqing chuckled, his eyes deep. You hid your strength, but what happened last night changed your fate. Even if you kill Manhwa, the Lu family and the Wang family will still keep an eye on you. Warriors pose a threat to them, and if they can't recruit you, they will definitely get rid of you. I nodded silently, knowing clearly in my heart. The confession arranged by the system let me know that everything was destined to be complicated from the beginning of my encounter with Zhao Li. Lu Wuqing asked solemnly, are you willing to join the Lu family? As long as you promise not to abandon Zhao Li and let her become powerful, the Lu family welcomes you. I was stunned for a moment. This was said so bluntly, as if it was telling me that we were the same kind of people. He continued, the protection of the Lu family is no less than that of other families. I guarantee that no one in Linhai City dares to touch you. In exchange, you have to help me train warriors and improve Wang Feng's strength. Also, the 4 major families will hold a meeting in 9 days, and I hope you can go with me. When he said this, his eyes were full of the majesty of a superior. I stood up and looked directly at Lu Wuqing. I will not join any family. I am used to freedom. Power is protection for me, but I don't want to be bound. However, just because I don't join the Lu family doesn't mean I want to be your enemy. If you have such an idea, I'm afraid there will be a river of blood in the Lu family compound tonight. My gaze was like a knife, and the oppressive aura froze the air. Lu Wuqing stared at me, his eyes flickering with admiration. I believe you can do it. But Zhao Li's judgment of people is not wrong. You have impressed me. Last night's performance kept me awake all night, and defeating Black Rose was an eye-opener for me. A male college student can have such skills, which really makes me realize the importance of martial artists. He smiled and said, I have never trusted outsiders, but you have changed my mind. My heart was shocked. Seeing the sincere emotion in his eyes, I could rarely feel his appreciation as a big boss. Wang Lin, I sincerely invite you and Zhao Li to attend the meeting in 9 days. He said sincerely. I was silent for a while, then nodded to show my agreement. At this moment, there was a knock on the door. Gomein. The door opened, and Lu Jiangnan walked in, followed by Zhao Li. She had a curious look in her eyes, obviously trying to figure out what we were talking about. Brother, the Wang family and the Ma family invited us to the Linhai restaurant. The meeting of the 4 major families will be held in advance tonight. Lu Wuqing thought for a moment and looked at me. Wang Lin, Zhao Li has to go too. Can you accompany her? Zhao Li quickly interrupted. Brother, how can we trouble Wang Lin? I answered without hesitation. No problem. Since I promised you, I will go with you. Lu Wuqing nodded. Okay, let's talk in the car. Several people walked out of the study, and there were several Rolls-Royces parked outside. Lu Wuqing looked at Zhao Li and smiled. Are you worried about your little man? Don't worry, I have my own arrangements. Zhao Li snorted coldly. What little man? He is obviously a big pig's hoof. Lu Jiangnan couldn't help laughing. He didn't expect that his sister, who was usually strong, would be teased. Don't laugh. Zhao Li glared at him. Believe it or not, I will bury you in the sky. Brother, I'm angry again. She even wants the sky bury me for her little man. Woo woo. Lu Jiangnan complained. Hurry up and get ready. Let's go to Linhai restaurant. Okay, brother. I looked at this scene and sighed in my heart. What an interesting family. Chapter 16. 2.5 hours later, in front of the Linhai restaurant, business cars and luxury cars surged like a tide, and the scene was quite spectacular. The Lu family's motorcade was parked neatly on the side, with extraordinary momentum. Zhao Li got out of her Rolls-Royce dazzle with a cold look and a hint of displeasure on her face. She muttered in a low voice, obviously not very happy. It's really infuriating. Not only did Wang Lin come alone, but he even squeezed into the same car with third brother and whispered to him. And he didn't let me hear it. At this time, the door of another Rolls-Royce Phantom slowly opened, and I walked down side by side with the two brothers of the Lu family. I glanced at Zhao Li, walked over quickly, and smiled. What's wrong? You have a cold face. Eat a Wangzai to calm down. As he said that, he took out a Wangzai candy from the bag and reached out to tidy up Zhao Li's hair. Zhao Li didn't dodge or resist. She took the candy and glared at him angrily. What are you talking about? Is there anything I can't listen to? Let me protect you. Things might get dangerous tonight. I whispered, feeling Zhao Li suddenly become serious. Oh, in that case, let's take a good look at what the Lu, Wang, and Ma families will do today. She sneered, took my hand, and walked toward the restaurant with firm steps. At this time, Lu Wuqing and Lu Jiangnan were wearing black coats, with stern faces and a strong sense of oppression. 20 bodyguards in suits followed closely behind them, and the atmosphere was heavy. Success or failure depends on this one move. Lu Wuqing's voice was so deep and powerful that no one present dared to speak. Wang Fong suddenly walked to my side, with a serious expression. Tonight, it will definitely not be peaceful. Please protect the young lady. I nodded. A sharp look flashed in my eyes. The situation tonight has begun to change. The Lu family's determination this time is stronger than ever. In the top-floor banquet hall of Linhai restaurant, the brilliant chandelier emitted a soft yellow light, and the atmosphere was dull and depressing. Members of the three major families, Lu, Wang, and Ma, arrived one after another, dressed in suits and leather shoes, with an imposing manner. Ma Huateng sat on the sofa, his eyes cold, his body and face wrapped in bandages, shaking champagne in his hands. Beside him, two pretty women served him gently. Is the old man still busy? He asked in a low voice. Wang Tung, the eldest son of the family, was full of resentment in his tone. Why hasn't Wang Yuxiang, this waste, arrived yet? Ma Huateng ignored him and asked coldly, Where's Mr. Wang? Why didn't he come to today's meeting? Wang Tung shrugged helplessly, looking frivolous. The old man is concerned about the Wang family and can't spare the time. Ma Huateng rolled his eyes but sneered in his heart. He didn't believe what he said at all. Suddenly, the door of the banquet hall opened, and Lu Wuqing and the members of the Lu family walked in vigorously. When Ma Huateng saw Lu Wuqing, the haze in his eyes deepened. He's here, he muttered, turning his eyes to me. Anger and confusion intertwined in my heart, and the pain of last night's confrontation was still clear. Wang Lin, has he really joined the Lu family? Ma Huateng roared in a low voice, his voice filled with endless anger and complex emotions. The old man next to me had a look of shock in his eyes. Master, what happened? Ma Huateng stared at me. That young man in black was him. He killed the one-eyed man with one hand last night. The old man's eyes suddenly widened, full of murderous intent. He killed one eye? I must avenge one eye. Inside the restaurant, the atmosphere was still depressing, and everyone seemed to be waiting for something. I was dressed in black, and although I was not conspicuous in this banquet hall full of black suits, Zhao Li next to me attracted a lot of attention. It was really unusual for the eldest daughter of the Lu family to travel with a white-faced boy like me. Zhao Li was not at all flustered and was obviously used to this kind of scene. She took my arm, led me to a dining table, and started her meal right away. Just eat it, but pay attention to your image. Zhao Li frowned slightly and glared at me. but there was a hint of helplessness in her tone. Wow, this king crab is so fresh, and this dried abalone is so juicy. I ate with relish, not caring about the looks around me. Zhao Li looked at me and just shook her head slightly with a smile in her eyes. Foodies really eat until the end of time. However, just as I was enjoying the food, a sudden voice broke the atmosphere. Oh, Sister Zhao Li, long time no see. After 3 days of absence, Sister Zhao Li is so stunning today. Chapter 17. Zhao Li raised her head and saw Ma Huatang's wretched face. Ma Huatang stared at her without hesitation, with a lustful light flashing in his eyes. Zhao Li knew that if he dared to do anything wrong to her, the revenge of the Lu family would leave the Ma family nowhere to escape. Ma Huatang, we don't seem to know each other well, right? Zhao Li smiled coldly, with a bad tone. Ma Huatang did not respond to her, but turned to look at me, looking a little curious. This little brother, why do you look familiar? He paused for a moment, then asked Sister Zhao Li, can you introduce me? After returning home last night, Ma Huatang mobilized the power of the Ma family to investigate me, but the result left him confused. I have no relationship with the Lu family. Investigations show that my 3 generations of ancestors were all ordinary. The only bright spot was that my grandfather had served in the army. I slowly took out a tissue to wipe my hands. Ma Huatang stared at me, but I was calm and said, Mr. Ma, watch your words. My Zhao Li sister, have you forgotten what happened last night? I pointed to my head and moved my lips slightly. Boom. My head exploded. Ma Huatang's face darkened instantly. He took a deep breath and sneered. Ha! I've never seen such an arrogant person. I chuckled. You'll see it today. He asked coldly, do you really want to fight to the death with the Ma family? I shrugged disdainfully. I don't care, but I have to remind you that if you stand here and offend Zhao Li, the person next to you can't stop you. I paused and added coldly, I don't want to say it again. Zhao Li's eyes were full of doubts, as if she had never seen me so calm and domineering. Ma Huatang's face became even gloomier, and he turned and left after taking a sip of wine. The old man walked up to him and whispered in his ear that he should take action. Ma Huatang knocked on the goblet, murderous intent evident in his eyes. But he finally took a deep breath and shook his head. No hurry. Let him live happily for a few more days. Then he added, Zhao Li, no one in the Ma family is allowed to touch her without my order. After Ma Huatang left, Wang Tung walked over slowly, smiling. He seemed friendly, but he made people wary. Miss Lu, who is this young man? Zhao Li smiled slightly and responded calmly. This is my personal bodyguard. Not worth mentioning. Wang Tung obviously lost interest in me and left after a few words of greeting. Zhao Li stared at me with a hint of anger and confusion. How did you offend the Ma family? Why would they fight to the death? I reached out and pinched her cherry lips, signaling her to be quiet. She struggled for a moment, but her eyes were full of anger and protest. I don't want to say anything more. I whispered, gently releasing her mouth. Finally, I told her what happened last night in a simple way, omitting unnecessary details. Zhao Li did not ask any further questions and seemed to understand that everyone has their own secrets. Suddenly, a steady sound of footsteps broke the silence. Everyone turned their heads and focused their eyes on the back. A middle-aged man with white hair and a resolute face walked slowly into the banquet hall, followed by several old men in black robes. He was the head of the Wang family, Wang Jingfei. The atmosphere suddenly became tense. Lu Wuqing, Ma Huatang, and Wang Tung all stood up to salute. Others also stood up one after another. The atmosphere was solemn. Wang Jingfei nodded slightly and walked to Lu Wuqing and others with his entourage. Everyone just nodded and smiled and did not talk to each other. It was obvious that they were all waiting for the Lu family to arrive. Wang Jingfei walked over steadily and said calmly, wait. After that, he sat down quietly. Soon, hearty laughter rang out from the door of the banquet hall again. Ha ha, sorry for the long wait. Following closely behind was an old man in a navy blue robe. He was skinny, with sunken eyes, and seemed to be seriously ill. However, Lu Yuanwu was wearing a light Zhongshan suit, looked less than 40 years old, and had well-developed muscles, showing a strong vitality. He walked firmly and said in a steady voice, this meeting of the 4 major families has officially begun. Chapter 18. Today, I have to apologize to everyone first. I know that if I invite you rashly, you may not come, so I have no choice but to do this. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Jingfei briefly introduced himself. In just a few minutes, almost all the prominent figures in Linhai City were present, and all of them, whether they were from the underworld or the white world, gave him face. More importantly, the patriarchs of the four major families were also present. Ma Yun, the head of the Ma family. Lu Yuanwu, the head of the Lu family. Lu Wuqing, the head of the Lu family. Wang Jingfei, the head of the Wang family. Lu Yuanwu laughed and said, Patriarch Wang is too polite. The division of this cake needs the decision of all of us together. He patted his belly with a smug smile on his face. Then he suddenly stood up, his eyes sharp. I want to know, what exactly do you want to do by having all of us here, Mr. Wang? As soon as the words fell, the air froze instantly, and everyone looked at the confrontation between the two in astonishment. Lu Yuanwu's words were simply provocative and shocking. Although the Wang family has declined, its foundation is still there. Who dares to challenge it so directly? However, Wang Jingfei just smiled lightly, with a calmness in his eyes. He had already seen through the underlying purpose of this gathering, not just the distribution of benefits, but also the contest of wisdom and power. Although the Wang family has been in Linhai for many years, the main branch failed in the Magic City and has no place to stand. Wang Jingfei took a deep breath and exhaled slowly, so the main branch decided to move to Linhai and merge with us. As soon as the words fell, the whole audience was shocked. The Linhai pie had already been divided up by the four major families. The sudden rise of the Wang family would inevitably lead to a huge conflict. Patriarch Wang, the situation in Linhai has been determined. If your main branch moves here, it will inevitably cause huge conflicts and may even lead to a situation where one side dominates. Ma Yin sneered and said. Everyone in the audience nodded. Their worries were evident in their words. Wang Jingfei responded calmly. Don't worry, after the main veins are merged, we will still distribute the Linhai pie in proportion and will never rely on any family. At this moment, Lu Wuqing slowly walked towards Wang Jingfei with a smile on his face. Patriarch Wang, I understand your decision, but I have a small favor that I need you to witness. Wang Jingfei was stunned. Patriarch Lu, if you have anything to say, just tell me. Suddenly, Lu Wuqing shouted coldly. Do it. In an instant, dozens of Lu family bodyguards swarmed in, surrounding the entire venue. This time was different from the past. The quality of Lu family bodyguards was far better than before. My combat soldiers were also mixed in and served as the vanguard. The whole hall was filled with a sense of oppression, and the atmosphere was so tense that it was almost suffocating. Zhao Li held my hand tightly, her eyes full of confusion and bewilderment. Brother, what happened? She asked in a low voice. I lowered my head and smiled, knowing Lu Wuqing's intentions. This is the rule of the underworld. Even the villains in northern Myanmar are ashamed of themselves. At this moment, the Lu family bodyguards all raised their guns and pointed them at Wang Jingfei. A bloody storm was about to break out. Wang Jingfei's face turned pale instantly. Lu Wuqing, you are stirring up disputes in Linhai. Before he finished speaking, the patriarchs of the remaining three major families smiled, and it was obvious that everything was already under their control. The Wang family bodyguards were stunned for a moment, barely reacting. At this moment, the leading fighter suddenly fired a shot, and a bodyguard fell to the ground. Then came a fierce burst of gunfire. Facing the assassins in front of them, the Wang family bodyguards instantly realized the critical situation. They were not desperate criminals willing to die, so they could only bow their heads and swallow their anger. Mel, you are absolutely crazy. Wang Jingfei roared out of control. His body suddenly became weak, and he collapsed to the ground as if he had been hit. He finally realized that today's situation might not end well. Looking back, the three major families had sneers on their faces. Wang Jingfei almost understood the truth of it all. Good. Very good. Wang Jingfei gritted his teeth and spat out a few words, his eyes full of anger and helplessness. Chapter 19. Lu Wuqing curled up the corner of his mouth in a sneer, and undisguised contempt appeared on his face. Mr. Wang, do you understand that you should retire after achieving success? If you don't want to be burdened with a bad reputation before you die, then your life will have been lived in vain. As soon as the words fell, the entire reception room fell into deathly silence. The bloodshot in Wang Jingfei's eyes became more and more obvious. He stared at Lu Wuqing with anger in his eyes. Madman, does Lu Xiuming agree to let you take such a big risk and make both my Wang family lose? He glanced coldly at the family members present, his eyes sharp as a knife. Linhai is not controlled by your Lu family alone. Lu Wuqing sneered and did not give in. From today on, the Lu family will completely destroy everything your Wang family has in Linhai. There was a strong sense of determination and oppression in his voice, and every word was like a heavy hammer hitting the air. Wang Jingfei's heart sank suddenly, and he understood. This was not a Hongmin banquet for him alone, but a joint plan of several parties. He once thought he was in control of the situation, but now he realized that he was just a controlled pawn. At this moment, Lu Yuanwu and Ma Yun's eyes were full of contempt. They looked at the outdated superstar of the Wang family, and all they felt in their hearts was contempt. The other small forces in Linhai City are like duckweed at this moment, without roots or sources. The power comparison between the three major families and the Wang family has long been clear, and it is clear at a glance where they stand. People from a small family, are you ready? A family member whispered to himself, with hesitation and fear in his eyes. The news quickly spread like wildfire in Linhai's upper circles. Cruel, really cruel. Looking at Lu Wuqing's resolute back, Zhao Li's heart suddenly tightened, and her expression became complicated. She knew what this silent war meant. If she made a mistake, she would fall into an irreversible abyss. I patted Zhao Li's hand gently and whispered, "Don't worry, everything will be fine." There was a sense of relief in her eyes, and my gaze was firm, as if it could withstand all the wind and rain. Our eyes met. Her cheeks flushed slightly, and the atmosphere suddenly became warm and intimate. However, Lu Wuqing's Achilles heel was Zhao Li. When he saw my strength, he seemed to have finally made up his mind and trusted me with his sister's safety. He knew that once the two families went to war, the Wang family would definitely fight back with all their might. As the core of the battle, he could no longer care about his sister's safety. I smiled bitterly in my heart. It really feels like a master has come down the mountain to protect the goddess. Lu Wuqing, aren't you afraid that I will kill your sister? Wang Jingfei roared, pointing his rough fingers at Zhao Li, his eyes full of threats. Lu Wuqing smiled calmly. Congratulations, Master Wang. Zhao Li is the treasure of my Lu family. If you can take her down, we will admit defeat. I sneered in my heart. Is it true? Do you think I'm a main force? Okay, since Master Lu said so, let's wait and see. The war between the two major families was completely revealed at this moment, and Linhai was about to be in turmoil. Fuck, the gazes of these old foxes are making me almost breathless. Wang Fong, who returned to the bar with Lu Wuqing, took a few deep puffs of cigarettes before the depression gradually dissipated. Although she's the pillar of the Lu family, after truly witnessing the aura of these old foxes today, she realized that she is just an insignificant spark. Brother Lu, Wang Jingfei, certainly didn't expect that we have already figured out their details. It will take at least 3 months for the Wang family of Magic City to truly move to Linhai. During this period, we are fully capable of defeating the Wang family. Wang Fong's face was full of confidence, as if victory was already a foregone conclusion. Suddenly, a burst of hurried footsteps broke the silence of the bar. Brother, Zhao Li. The brother and sister had been apart for less than half an hour, but they seemed to have a telepathic connection and were worried about each other. Brother, grandpa, and father have finally united their front. Zhao Li frowned, her face full of worry. Brother, do you think that as the apple of the eye of the family, will I leave an opportunity for the Wang family to take advantage of me? What if the family gets into trouble because of me? I looked at my sister's anxiety and couldn't help laughing. Don't worry, Zhao Li, I never do anything without confidence. I know that this is not just self-confidence, but more because I have the confidence to face all challenges. I dare to put my sister in the open because I know that no one dares to touch her. Ahem. I stood aside, with a hint of sarcasm on my lips. I'm an outsider standing here. You won't do anything to settle accounts with me later, right? Lu Wuqing smiled. It's hard to say. Chapter 20. The war is about to begin. Zhao Li's safety is in your hands. Lu Wuqing patted my shoulder, then turned and hurried away. Several Audi A12s sped away, taking him away. I was stunned, feeling mixed emotions. War had just been declared, and the Lu family's most precious daughter was handed over to me so easily. Isn't this too bold? If I have bad intentions, the next time we meet, the child will probably call me uncle. Hey, how about we go get some midnight snack? I asked tentatively. Zhao Li rolled her eyes. Obviously, she was used to my foodie mentality. She turned on her cell phone and started looking through the restaurants around her. Barbecue, hot pot, seafood stalls, paper-wrapped fish. The variety of choices made me a little dazzled. I'm a little hungry after watching this, I muttered. Suddenly, Zhao Li's body trembled, and her sensitive reaction made me alert. She turned and looked at me, her anger almost bursting out. Wang Lin, my brother just left, and you bullied me. Our eyes met, so close that we could almost feel each other's every breath. Her face flushed, her heart beat like a drum, and the heat in the air made us both feel a little overwhelmed. I was the first to break the silence. Sorry, I lost my composure when I saw that steam bun on your phone. I hurriedly distanced myself from him, but in my heart, I was thinking, why is this guy so sensitive? Zhao Li's heartbeat finally returned to normal, but I could sense that some complicated emotions were surging in her heart. She thought to herself with self-mockery, this big hooligan, who is usually so lazy, now has some good looks. The subtle emotion in her heart seemed to grow quietly in our close contact just now. Forget it, let's eat something. We left the apartment and walked towards the nearest breakfast shop. The streets along the coast were still bustling with cars and lights flashing. I ignored her reaction and took her hand without hesitation. Your safety is always my most important thing. She bowed her head and whispered, I'll listen to you. 5 minutes later, we arrived at the top-rated Xilongbao restaurant in the city center. The owner greeted us warmly. A talented man and a beautiful woman. They are a match made in heaven. I thought to myself, it seems that the ratings here are used for matchmaking. I don't care about the matchmaker. All I care about is the taste of the dumplings. Suddenly, a familiar voice came from my ear. Yes, it must be Fatty. That's my best friend Li Zheng. He weighs over 230 pounds. Although his family has a little money, his words and actions always make me angry and amused. You don't believe it, my deskmate eats buns, sleeps and copies every day, and his only advantage is that he looks like a monkey. Although I am fat, I am proficient in all aspects and can be regarded as a model of an excellent man. I couldn't help but twitch my lips when I heard these words. This fat guy is getting more and more outrageous. I don't care if you pick up girls, but you can't slander my image at Jiangda. He was sitting at table 57, only 3 or 4 meters away from me, facing 2 beautiful twin girls, and the atmosphere seemed quite good. This fat guy is really good at playing. I couldn't help but laugh at myself. The 3 of them were tasting the soup dumplings. I secretly glanced at the twin girls. They looked fresh, and they looked like students. I patted Zhao Li's hand, and when she wasn't paying attention, I quietly walked behind Li Zheng. Haha, call me the great sage. When I have time, I'll let you meet my best friend. The 2 beauties looked at me curiously. I put my hand on Li Zheng's shoulder and smiled maliciously. Fuck, who is it? You don't have any clue. Can't you see that I'm having dinner with these beauties? When Li Zheng heard this, he was stunned, and his expression became stiff in an instant. So you are treating the beautiful lady to buns? His face suddenly turned as ugly as if he had eaten honey shit, his eyes filled with shock and embarrassment. It's over. How could it be such a coincidence that I was caught in the act by the person involved? Did Wang Lin hear everything? Chapter 21. As Fatty's best friend, I will not add insult to injury at this critical moment. However, it would not be too much to ask him for some interest, right? I leaned over and lowered my voice. Don't worry, milk tea for a week, plus today's meal, your character can't collapse. The corner of Li Zheng's mouth twitched. Although it was not much for a college student, 5,000 yuan for living expenses was not easy. However, just as his heart was churning, he suddenly looked at the person next to me. His eyes widened instantly. Zhao Li. No wonder he was shocked. Wang Lin dared to confess his love to the school beauty in front of the whole school. This courage was simply beyond the norm. Later, the guys got to know each other. I wisely stopped bothering the fat guy and ordered food instead. 10 baskets of pork and scallion buns. As soon as I finished speaking, the surroundings suddenly became quiet, and everyone stared at me. Fuck, this guy can shock the world by eating steamed buns. Not only can he eat, he is also a master at picking up girls. Amazing. The waiter laughed and said, would you like to order something else? 2 more bowls of wontons, 10 crab roast soup dumplings, and 5 baskets of leek and egg buns. As soon as the words were spoken, the entire restaurant fell silent. The fat man couldn't help but roared in a low voice. Wang Lin, you are a 130-pound man, and you eat more than a dozen steamed buns? I'm watching you. Dare to waste one and see. 10 minutes later, the buns were piled up like a mountain on the table, and the space became smaller. Zhao Li looked at the food in front of her, frowning and looking slightly bitter. Can you finish it? She doesn't eat much, especially when she maintains a golden ratio figure. I smiled and handed her a basket of crab soup dumplings. Try this, it tastes good. Then, he handed the fat man a few more steam buns and said, hurry up and have some for the two beauties. If you can't finish them, pack them up for a midnight snack. Zhao Li's expression still didn't improve. She waved her hand and said, we're almost full. Thank you. The fat man returned to his seat with dissatisfaction on his face. It was obvious that he didn't enjoy the meal very much. However, I saw Zhao Li's face gradually turn cold. Although I am a straight man, I could tell that she seemed a little unhappy. Jealous, I teased. She was stunned. Her heartbeat suddenly accelerated, and her face changed slightly. Who would be jealous? You are just a big gangster. I smiled in my heart, knowing that I had caught her mind. After a while, the fat man came over with a mysterious look on his face. If you have something to say, tell me now. I'm having dinner with a beautiful woman. The fat man coughed and said, I wanted to tell you a secret, but seeing your attitude, forget it. I teased loudly. You are a well-known figure in Manhwa University. Many people want to curry your favor. The fat man nodded with satisfaction. My father said that after the first half of the freshman year, the school will hold a marine water world sports event. How did you know? I asked. My dad told me, it's okay. At this time, Zhao Li's eyes lit up with a trace of regret on her face. Can I go? I was moved and said with a smile, of course, we have to go. She hesitated, but I'm afraid it will affect the family's plans with my brother. Don't worry, I'll solve it for you. I smiled, full of confidence. Zhao Li's face gradually relaxed, and her eyes sparkled with trust. I was delighted. Although we often quarreled, our trust was quietly growing. I just want to see her in a bikini. Who wouldn't want her to go? I thought to myself, but a smile appeared unconsciously at the corner of my mouth. Chapter 22. Alan, I'll send them home first. See you tomorrow. As he said that, the fat man waved goodbye to us with the two beauties. It's getting late. Let me take you home. You have a class with the counselor tomorrow. When I thought of that counselor who was over 40, my head started to ache. Lin Nan was probably in menopause. Especially to a mischievous student like me, she was more like a guard in a detention center, never leaving my side. Zhao Li couldn't help laughing when she saw my sad face, as if she finally saw my weakness. The next day, at Manhwa University, I finally made it through the advanced math class and flew out of the classroom like a spring-loaded cannonball. The most troublesome things in college life are advanced mathematics and CET 4 and CET 6. I stood in front of the window and took a deep breath, feeling that I could almost exhale all the pressure in my heart. Soon, the fat guy came over and said gossipingly, Brother, you are awesome. You have even taken care of the school bell. You are really low-key, luxurious, and sophisticated. I smiled and said, I don't have that in mind. The fat guy, however, had an I understand expression on his face. Brother, the one who is close to the water gets the moon first. You two are already sitting at the same table. So when will you catch it? I shook my head. The fat guy seemed to have seen through everything about me. Forget about old brothers like Chun Nan. Zhao Li is the one you should pursue. Brother, I declare that your dog-licking agreement is terminated. These words shocked me, and I suddenly thought of Chun Nan. Chun Nan? I almost forgot about this woman, my childhood sweetheart, who grew up with me. Unexpectedly, when I turned around, I heard the familiar voice of Tong's behind me. Wang Lin, brother. My heart suddenly tightened, because that was where my dream began. Turning around, I saw her, Chun Nan, wearing JK and moccasins, and standing next to her was the platinum female supporting role, Bing Lingxue. Damn it, why is this fish pond still displaying my name? I thought to myself, Chun Nan, elegant and lovely, always charms me inadvertently. Looking at Bing Lingxue beside her, who seemed ordinary but could always deliver a fatal blow at critical moments, I began to laugh at myself again. It seems that I have a good eye. I can see future beauties from a young age. The corners of my mouth twitched as I recalled the past. Chun Nan's tricks of acting like a spoiled child always left me helpless. At that time, I gave everything for her, but in the end, I failed again and again. She said, You are my brother. It is good for us to maintain this relationship. She also asked, buy a gold bracelet, 2 gold rings, and an iPhone before we can hold hands. Until one day, I read a dog-licking article that disgusted me from beginning to end. There are also rumors that Chun Nan has long become someone else's boss. At that moment, my heart was completely broken, and I decided to close my heart and seek love. Okay, let the past be the past. I took a deep breath and put those unbearable memories behind me. At this time, Chun Nan walked up to me and said with a smile, Wang Lin, You haven't come to school for a week, and you didn't reply to my messages. You have to make it up to me today. I smiled helplessly. Compensation? She continued to approach. Schwer, and I have discussed it. Go buy 2 bottles of Pocari Sweat now, and treat us to hot pot after class, so that I won't be angry. Bing Lingxua urged coldly beside me. Stop dithering. If you don't go, we will die of heat. I was furious and couldn't help but scold. Are you guys done yet? Seeing this, the fat man was ready to support with firepower. You two are so disgusting, you might as well go by yourselves. The fat man's fighting power was like a switch, and his consecutive counterattacks left Bing Lingxua speechless. You, what do you mean by you? You ugly freak, die soon. The fat man was merciless and hit her sore spot directly. Chapter 23. Linhai University, with a main campus covering an area of 1.5 million square meters, is a top-level institution. It has all kinds of facilities, but even Superman can't go back and forth to the supermarket in 5 minutes. The fat man frowned and accused. Didn't you say you would buy it for me? Who told you to buy it? Chen Nan smiled faintly, her eyes full of contempt. In my heart, Wang Lin is Superman. He can definitely do it. She pouted unconsciously after she finished speaking. It's so colorful. I sneered in my heart. If I had known her tricks, I would not have foolishly agreed to her request. In the past, no matter being late or suspended from class, I was willing to cooperate with her. But now, he has seen through Chun Nanen's hypocrisy, and what she hides in her heart is more vicious than anyone else. Seeing her pretending to be innocent, I felt sick and almost vomited. Me, inwardly she is so good at pretending. Chin Huairu's innocence is not as good as hers. After a few seconds of silence, I couldn't help but sneered. Turn right, the 3rd floor of the psychiatric department. As soon as the words fell, she didn't have any room to react. Chen Nan was stunned. Her eyes widened. How dare you say that to me? I said bluntly. Are you angry? Go to the psychology department and adjust your menstrual cycle. Don't hold it in, or your acne will grow again. The fat man was stunned and gave me a thumbs up. Brother, this is awesome. Chen Nanen's expression instantly changed from anger to helplessness. Her eyes were red and the corners of her mouth turned down slightly. She looked pitiful and seemed to be about to collapse at any moment. Wang Lin, brother. There was a hint of pleading in her tone. You weren't like this before. The supermarket is so far away. How could you bear to let me get tan? I couldn't help but admire these sea kings. They really can control everything with ease. Even Oscar-winning actresses would be ashamed of themselves. At this moment, my eyes unconsciously moved down and gently swept across her pair of slender legs. Nice legs, white, delicate, and full of charm. What a pity about that face. I muttered softly, but I felt sick in my heart. Chen Nanen's triumphant smile instantly appeared. Brother Wang Lin, promise me now? I smiled slightly and gritted my teeth and said, Unfortunately, the breasts are too small, not to my taste. Go find someone else. She was stunned, the fat man was confused, and the people around were also stunned. What the hell? Chen Nanen's eyes became fierce, and she rushed over in an instant. Brother Wang Lin, as long as you promise to buy us some water, we can hold your hand once. Her confident look made me want to laugh. She knew that I had only held my own hand once since I was a child, so today was a good day for me. You want to be a hooligan and take advantage of me? I sneered suddenly, but my heart was as cold as ice. Chen Nanen's brain was stuck for a moment, and she was confused. She was the one who took the initiative to approach me, but I accused her. She was furious and said fiercely, Wang Lin, last chance. If you don't agree, I will ignore you, and our childhood sweetheart relationship will end here. As soon as she finished speaking, the tense atmosphere almost cut through the air. Her eyes were full of challenge, but I just smiled faintly. You're anxious, aren't you? I looked at her teasingly, but thank you for finally letting me go. Bing Lingxua next to him added fuel to the fire. Wang Lin, are you deaf? We're dying of thirst. Her voice instantly attracted the attention of the people around her. At this moment, an angry shout broke the silence in the air. Are your ears broken? Zhao Li, the cool schoolgirl from Linhai University, walked over to me, and every step she took weighed heavily on my heart. Her tall figure was like a statue, exuding an incomparable sense of oppression. She stood in front of me and glanced at Chun Nanan with an icy gaze, as if she were looking at a clown. Are you crazy? Wang Lin doesn't like you anymore, and you're still sticking to him. Chun Nanan was stunned, and everyone was silent. The air seemed to freeze. Then, whispers broke out on the floor. What the hell? What's going on? Zhao Li actually helped Wang Lin? This is too outrageous. Even the icy beauty from Linhai University can stand up for him. I could feel the eyes of people around me focused on me. Their eyes were full of shock and curiosity. But Zhao Li stood there coldly, not caring about these discussions at all. Her eyes were still fixed on Chun Nan, as if she was locking onto her prey. If you dare to bully him, I won't let you off easy. Her aura instantly overwhelmed Chun Nan. Chun Nan knew she was in the wrong, but she couldn't bow her head in front of so many people. She gritted her teeth and said, "Zhao Li, don't mind our business. This is a private matter between me and brother Wang Lin." Bing Lingxue next to him also shouted, "Yes, take care of yourself and don't interfere. Who do you think you are, a goddess from heaven?" As soon as I finished speaking, I felt a chill rushing towards me. Zhao Li's eyes became even colder. "What does this have to do with me?" She sneered, her voice low and almost squeezed out from between her teeth. "He has already met my family. Do you understand?" Chapter 24. He is my desk mate, and I am responsible for him. Zhao Li's tone was flat. Her eyes were cold. Her words were simple but oppressive. Desk mate? Responsible? Chun Nan frowned slightly. The connection between the two was obviously not obvious. The people around were watching with great interest, with a hint of disdain in their eyes. My courage in confessing my feelings was admirable, but this could not be used as an excuse for him to take the goddess away. It seemed that Zhao Li was just standing up for her classmate. Chun Nan sneered. "Classmate? Why do you care so much? Are you a living Buddha?" Her tone was full of provocation. Zhao Li remained calm, standing in front of me, as if she didn't care about what she said. "Then what is your relationship with Wang Lin?" Her eyes were sharp, and her words were provocative. "Lovers? Brothers and sisters? Or a scheming bitch, a green tea?" "You?" Chun Nan's reaction froze. She opened her mouth, but said nothing. It wasn't that she was a loss for words, but that she herself didn't know what the relationship between her and me was. "I'm his childhood sweetheart and best friend." Bing Lingxue hastily added. As soon as this sentence came out, Zhao Li couldn't help laughing out loud. Childhood sweethearts? Childhood sweethearts who only held hands once in 20 years and didn't even hug. She spoke with disdain. "Do you really think Wang Lin is a beast of burden to be ordered around at your will? As the saying goes, one smile makes all the beauties in the palace pale in comparison." This sentence is the most appropriate to describe Zhao Li. Zhao Li better than me. Her aloofness is simply invincible in the eyes of outsiders. But only I know that this seemingly cold woman is actually a tough girl. People should not be too stingy. Zhao Li smiled faintly, with a hint of provocation in her words. As his desk mate, I have an obligation to announce one thing. If he wants a hug, I'm always there for him. What? Chun Nan, Bing Lingxue, and the others were stunned, and the air froze instantly. Everyone began to think. What charm do I have that makes Zhao Li take the initiative to show her kindness? I laughed in my heart. Every word Zhao Li said was a little teasing, but no one dared to refute it. Just when everyone was full of doubts, Zhao Li suddenly stretched out her hands. Then, she quickly hugged me tightly. At that moment, everyone seemed to be electrocuted, and the air was filled with an indescribable tension. "If you dare to cheat, I will interrupt your second brother." She threatened softly, and I couldn't help but be stunned. That sentence shot into my heart like a sharp arrow, making me unable to move. 10 seconds of hugging. Zhao Li finally let go of my hand, but there was a bit of satisfaction in her eyes. She gently took my hand, as if everything was a foregone conclusion. Pa. That was the sound of a broken heart. I subconsciously looked around and saw that Chun Nan and Bing Lingxue's faces turned pale, and the eyes of others were full of shock and jealousy. And I seemed to become incredible at this moment. Zhao Li took my hand and walked quickly toward the classroom. Her words still carried a hint of threat. "Student Wang Lin, let's talk slowly after class." I could hear the jealousy in her voice, as if she was announcing to everyone, "I am hers." I couldn't help but feel a little happy. This scene quickly became a hot topic on the campus of Linhai University. Zhao Li is actually pursuing Wang Lin. The classmates were talking about it behind her back. I just silently enjoyed all these changes, and an unprecedented sense of satisfaction emerged in my heart. When I arrived at the classroom, I still sat in the back seat, quietly waiting for Zhao Li's next move. She has always been aloof and inviolable, but now she is making such a big sacrifice for me, which makes me surprised and happy. "Zhao Li, your fighting ability really impressed me. I whispered to her ear. Zhao Li smiled proudly. Of course, don't forget that you are my future. There was a firmness in her voice that could not be ignored, and I finally felt the warmth and security that I had never felt before. As the class ended, Zhao Li and I walked out of the classroom side by side. Suddenly, the fat man jumped out, his face full of surprise and confusion. Alan, come on, come on. I'll treat you today. Zhao Li glanced at the fat man. A hint of coldness flashed in her eyes. Wang Lin, I'm hungry. I looked at the fat man and laughed in my heart. The fat man is treating us today. This is my favorite model. If there is a free lunch to enjoy, why not? The fat man looked pleased. Yes, 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 I'll treat you today. Eat as much as you want. The fat man came to his senses and nodded repeatedly. As an old father, he was really worried about his godson. Chapter 25. Go away. Zhao Li said with a face that could not be refuted. Her eyes were firm, as if everything was settled. She rarely had the opportunity to be alone with me. How could she let the fat man mess it up? The fat man was stunned for a moment, with a bit of hesitation on his face, but after seeing Zhao Li's eyes, he made an excuse and said, Sorry, Alan. I suddenly remembered that my dad's mistress gave birth to a baby today, and I have to go back to see if it's mine. As soon as he finished speaking, he ran away at an unbelievable speed. I stood there in a daze, thinking to myself, Fatty, you really leave me speechless. Zhao Li turned her head and smiled, with a hint of joy and shyness in her eyes. Let's go and eat. Her voice was relaxed, as if she was relieved from the embarrassment just now. In fact, this was her first time eating alone with a boy, and there was some subtle emotion in her eyes. Although she had a smile on her face, she was inevitably a little nervous. At this time, several students in the classroom were discussing in a low voice. Fuck, is it true? Good fellow, it's a good idea to keep the wealth within the family. As a classmate, I still support this. Hu Han-san is really envious. I second the motion. The cafeteria of Linhai University is a small world. 5 cafeterias are connected together. Each cafeteria is a 2-story building that can satisfy all kinds of students' tastes. My favorites are Zilong Bayo, braised chicken with rice, and tofu pudding, which always impress my stomach. The campus is 60% green, and even though the leaves fall in autumn, the scenery in other seasons is incredibly beautiful. However, even in the shade of the trees, the hot summer still makes the air full of heat waves. I hope I don't run into those brainless, rich second generations today. I prayed silently in my heart, wanting to have a quiet meal without any more trouble. Looking at Zhao Li walking through the crowd in a white dress and a high ponytail, people around her couldn't help but look back a few more times. Dong Dong Noodle House in the first canteen is famous for its affordable prices and delicious fried noodles. Especially at the end of the month, poor students love to patronize this place. Walking into the noodle shop, I was hit by the heat and I couldn't help but frown. Boss, 2 bowls of fried noodles, 2 lion heads, 1 vegetarian dish, and 2 bottles of ice cola. In the kitchen, a shirtless middle-aged man came over and greeted enthusiastically. Sit outside and drink some Coke to cool off. The menu on the wall is a bit old, but the prices are still affordable. Small portion of vegetarian dish, 8 yuan. Large portion, 10 yuan. Braised beef noodles, 15 yuan. Fried noodles with tomato and egg, 10 yuan. Lion's head, 5 yuan. A meal costs 48 yuan, which is my daily living expenses. Looking at the iced Coke handed to me by Zhao Li, I resisted the urge to roll my eyes. She smiled so sweetly and was really good at pretending to be a good girl. I was glad that she didn't take a penny from my wallet. Drink it quickly, it's too hot. There was a slight concern in her tone. I took the Coke and took a sip, but I cursed in my heart. If she knew, I would be so glad that I didn't spend her money. I'm so happy. Suddenly, she looked up at me with a piercing gaze. So most of your private savings were used to buy gifts for Chunanan. I was stunned. What? You spied on me? She didn't care at all, and said in a relaxed tone, Don't you feel that you are actually very easy to be deceived? In the 3rd grade of junior high school, Chunanan gave you a lollipop, and you saved up your pocket money for half a year to buy her a bag. When she was in 5th grade, she called me Brother Wang Lin, and you sold all your treasures at a low price and bought her a whole set of stuffed dolls and Barbie princesses. She continued in a calm tone. And in the 3rd year of high school, the only time we held hands, your heart was beating fast, and you ended up giving her all your little treasury. My head was buzzing, and thousands of Nima were running through my mind. How could this happen? I was familiar with her. So how could she know so much? How do you know so much? I was stunned, feeling mixed emotions. Zhao Li smiled smugly. There are actually many more. Do you need me to tell you one by one? I hurriedly shook my head, fearing that she would continue to uncover my dark history. It would be fine if only one person knew, but if the whole class knew, how could I survive in Linhai University? How did you know? I couldn't help asking. She said casually, "Oh, most of the students know. You don't have to worry." I could almost hear my heart breaking, and the expression on my face instantly changed from shock to embarrassment. How could I face everyone when such a private matter became a topic of conversation? Zhao Li seemed to see my stunned look, raised her eyebrows, and continued. Chun Nan is a sea king who specializes in deceiving innocent boys like you. Stay away from her in the future, or she will drain all your money. I nodded subconsciously, muttering to myself, people can be cheated, but money cannot. I really have no money. How can I squeeze her dry? It's not that I'm stingy, I just really don't have any. Chapter 26. Now all you have to do is study hard, keep your feet on the ground, and move forward step by step. Absolutely agree. In the future, if a scheming girl comes to flirt with you, you should kick her away without hesitation. I agree. Those girls who take the initiative to ask you out are all trying to empty your wallet, except me. Ah, I agree with both hands. Is this meal yours or mine? I frowned and looked at Zhao Li, feeling a little confused. She waved her hand and said, I'll pay. Boss, you are generous. I responded with a faint smile, but I had already begun to wonder about her intentions. But if any girl is interested in you, you must tell me immediately. Zhao Li's tone was unquestionable. I see. Wait, what do you mean? I was stunned. She walked lightly, and her words were full of control. Other girls are nice to you. Why didn't you tell me? My words, are they not important? Also, does my mom count? I couldn't help asking. Her face didn't change at all. Others are strangers, but you and I have known each other for such a long time. You know, I was about to retort, but her eyes stopped me. Then you pay for the meal. I promised to complete the task. I secretly swore in my heart that I would not let her down. 20 minutes later, Zhao Li stood up, gracefully touched a boy's head, and said softly, Yeah, very comfortable. After the joke, she took out her wallet and pulled out a brand new Apple phone. 58 yuan has been credited to my account via WeChat. Confidence flashed in her eyes. I looked at her graceful back, and I couldn't help but feel confused. She was just 20 years old, with a graceful figure and impeccable temperament. If it weren't for the support of the system, I would never be able to stand in the same world with her in this life. We walked side by side on Wudong Avenue, the setting sun shining on us. The atmosphere was peaceful and tranquil. The supermarket in front caught Zhao Li's attention. Wait for me outside. I'll go buy 2 bottles of ice cream and wet wipes. She said softly. I nodded, but I felt in my heart that every moment with her was full of unpredictable meaning. Not long after we separated, I suddenly heard a sharp voice. Wang Lin. I turned my head suddenly and saw the familiar oval face, Chen Nanan. She crossed her arms, and her eyes were full of arrogance and calculation. What's the matter? I responded coldly. The corner of her mouth curled up with a smug smile. This time I will come to the supermarket to wait for you in person. Are you ready to buy gifts? Won't win my heart back. I sneered in my heart. Her previous behavior in the corridor annoyed me, especially that time when the aloof school beauty stood on my side. I knew she must be feeling unbalanced. What gift? I asked sarcastically, with contempt in my eyes. With an expression that said, I knew you would do this, she said provocatively. You usually ask me to have dinner with you. Didn't you come to the supermarket today just to buy me a gift to apologize? I couldn't help but laugh out loud. You really have a thick skin on your face, even thicker than a city wall. She was so angry that her face turned red. What are you laughing at? What are you laughing at? I'm laughing at you. I said bluntly. You misunderstood. I'm waiting for someone else, not you. Her eyes were panicked for a moment, and then she pretended to be calm. Who else would you wait for besides me? Are you gay? I shook my head helplessly. Stay away. Her face immediately regained confidence. Brother Wang Lin, if you cut off contact with Zhao Li now and buy me a new phone, I will go to the park with you tonight and walk hand in hand. I looked at her face and felt sick. What a shameless person she was. She could do anything for a few vain things. I sneered at her and said, You are awesome. You know everything. You are like a complete encyclopedia of ancient and modern Chinese and foreign books. Get out of my sight. I glanced at her disdainfully. With your flat figure, I don't know if I was blind to fall for you at the time. After I finished speaking, I rolled my eyes deliberately, feeling relieved. At this moment, Chen Nanan's face turned livid, and anger filled her entire chest. Shame. Such a huge shame. She murmured to herself, as if her self-esteem, which had been hurt by me, had already collapsed. A huge wave rose in her heart, as if the little fish in the pond dared to try to jump out of the water and break into her extremely conceited sea.